Something went weird. I absolutely got, we have to back up a little bit. I have no idea when that actually happened. Where was I? Had I said panda jizz yet? Yes, okay, good. I was at, just to clarify, I just want to know where the bookmark was. I'm back. All right. I'm here. Everybody's there. Everybody gathered in. Everything's fine. Refresh your page. Let everybody know to refresh their page. Yes, apparently panda jizz was the shutdown word. For some reason. Not quite sure why. That was fun. I'm going to move this keyboard thing away from here. Put this up here. Level 3 hype train. Just for being able to get back on the air, which I think is a miracle in and of itself. And hold on one second. I'm going to do something as well. Set something up. I think we need this. Yeah, there we go. All right, fingers crossed. Here we go. All right. Tech snafus out of the way. Let's do it.
What you really have to do in that report is look at the findings. And the findings are devastating.
He just quoted the findings, by the way. Yeah.
For Arizona, they're devastating like nobody's seen before. Why did states are just as bad.
Why did Republican officials in Arizona accept the results then?
Because they're rhinos, and frankly, a lot of people are questioning that. Why would they? They fought very hard, the Maricopa County people, and people don't understand it because all you have to do is look at.
I understand. I have an idea. I've got an idea, and I know this is a reach, but I know I'm losing on it. Follow me on this. Hush now, Lumpy. Hush now. The reason the Maricopa Republicans did not want you to look into stuff and did not find any votes that changed the election is because they were involved in creating so many fake votes for you to get you within shooting range where they thought you might actually win, but you lost anyways. They faked tons of votes for you. And that's why everybody's like, let's take a look at the votes and who really cast them. And they're like, no, don't. Because if you look, you'll find more Biden votes and a lot of fake Trump votes. And that's what happens every time they look. That's my 2 cents on it. That's what I think. All right, let's...
findings. And just so you know, some of those people went before Congress a short while ago, and they were grilled by Congressman Biggs. You ought to take a look at their testimony. They weren't able to answer anything. He made them look like fools. They couldn't answer a thing. They got up and gave a beautiful statement, and then when it came time to ask why this, why that, what about these votes, what about those votes, they looked like total fools.
Let me...
Oh, you mean the part where they're like, I don't know what the fuck you're talking about? You seem to be pulling this out of your ass? We know a lot about Arizona, and yet we still know nothing about what the hell you're talking about. They look like fools.
Some short quotes. The first is by one of the judges, one of the 10 judges you appointed who ruled on this, and there were many judges, but 10 who you appointed. Brett Ludwig, U.S. District Court in Wisconsin, who was nominated by you in 2020. He's on the bench, and he says, quote, this court allowed the plaintiff the chance to make his case, and he has lost on the merits. Another quote, Corey Langhofer, your own campaign attorney in Arizona, November 12, 2020, quote, we are not alleging fraud in this lawsuit. We are not alleging anyone stealing the election. And also Rudy Giuliani, your lawyer, November 18, 2020 in Pennsylvania, quote, this is not a fraud case. Your own lawyers had no evidence of fraud. They said in court they had no evidence of fraud, and the judges ruled against you every time on the merits.
It was too early to ask for fraud and to talk about fraud. Rudy said...
Yes, that's right. It was too early. I mean, it was before we had any evidence of fraud. We didn't have time to make up fraud yet. It was too early to ask for fraud. I'm sorry, when does that come? During dessert? Too early. It's never too early to ask for fraud when a Trump is on the line.
Because of the fact it was very early, because that was obviously at a that was a long time ago. The things that are found out have more than bore out what people thought and what people felt and what people found. When you look at Langhofer, I disagree with him as an attorney. I did not think he was a good attorney to hire. I don't know what his game is, but I will just say this.
I'm going to go with his game is evidence. and not wanting to get disbarred.
You look at the findings, you look at the number of votes, go into Detroit and just ask yourself, is it true that go into Detroit and look around and go, gee whiz, there's a lot of black people. There's no way this could be on the up and up. I mean, honestly, if you just set foot in Detroit, you're like, holy smokes, look at all the black people. There's no way. Just go there and look around. Oh my God. Just go to Detroit. There are votes and there are voters. Look at Pennsylvania. Look at...
No, there isn't. There absolutely was not. There simply wasn't. I mean, you can keep saying it, and he will.
Philadelphia, is it true that there were far more...
Like, you go into Detroit, you go into Philadelphia, you're like, man, there's a lot of black people here. How did this happen? Who let this happen? This far north? Look at all these black people. Dear God, there's no way there was something legit going on here. Black people fraud. Two sides of the very same coin. It's not a little weird? The cities he's picking in particular? No? You're shocked that they didn't go your way?
Votes than there were voters?
It is not true that there were far...
Tough thing
it is not
a pretty
true.
Tough problem.
It is not true that there were far more votes than voters. There was an early count. I've noticed you've talked about this in rallies, and you've said reportedly this is true. I think even you know that was an early report that was corrected later.
Well, you take a look at it. You take a look at Detroit.
Dude, they did. We have. It's been a fucking year. Nobody's been to Detroit in a year and 2 months. Son of a bitch.
They even had a hard time getting people to sign off on it because it was so out of balance. They called it out of balance. So you take a look at it. You know the real truth, Steve. And this election was a rigged election.
Why is it that you think that the vast majority of your allies in the United States Senate are not standing behind you? We did have that statement by Mike Rounds.
Because Mitch McConnell is a loser. And frankly, Mitch McConnell, if he were...
For the record, anybody listening at home or at another time or sometime in the future after this punchline has, shuffled off his mortal coil, Mitch McConnell won his election. However you may feel about that, this guy lost his election. Mitch McConnell won his election. Same election. Same election. Mitch McConnell's still in office. Not so much.
On the other side, and if Schumer were put in his position, he would have been fighting this like you've never seen before. He would have been fighting this because when you look at it, and this is a long way from over. You take a look at what's going on.
Yes, it was over a long time ago, and we are well past over. It's a long way from over in that it's been over for a long time.
In Pennsylvania, take a look at what's going on in Wisconsin. You just take a look. Now, we had a lot of cases where the judges wouldn't hear them. We had a case in Nevada that was so good. When you read the papers, it's impossible. The judge refused to even listen to it. We had many cases. In fact, they say, and I can't testify because it's been through a lot of systems, a lot of different systems, but they say, and they say very strongly, the judges nobody's really gotten a chance to look at the United States Supreme Court. They refused to hear the case. And you had,
they said there was no standing to give the case. That's correct.
Well,
Can I just ask?
No standing. I know. No standing. And the president of the United States supposedly didn't have standing either.
No, that's true. See, that whole states' rights thing that Republicans supposedly give a shit about? That whole thing about how states have sovereignty from the federal government? The president, whoever that person is, cannot individually sue states to vote in his direction. Sue states to guarantee him a win. And if they could, we would not be living in the United States of America. We would have a Putin-like or Xi Jinping-like dictatorship. And apparently that's what this fuckhead wants.
I wanted to file it myself. They said, sir, you don't have standing. I said, wait a minute. I'm the president of the United States. They just...
Right. You're literally the last person with standing. You know who has standing? The people of the state, the AG of the state, to take a case against their own electors, I guess. But other states can't sue different states because they don't like how they carried out their elections. Unless you want to, wait for it, federalize the entire election process and make it uniform for every state and have the federal government control it. Make that case, dum-dum.
An election, hundreds of thousands of votes in different states. They just rigged an election. We got a number of votes that I think you'll agree no sitting president has ever gotten a number of votes that I got. No sitting president.
Yeah, but the guy who beat you got more than any challenger in history. That's how it works. And by the way, that's the upside of mail-in voting. By making mail-in voting that much more available, look how many more people voted. Look how many more people were engaged in elections in this country. Now, the reason you guys don't want everybody to vote and why Republicans push back against this and why people like Paul Weyrich, many people will know the goo-goo syndrome. Let's see. Let me try. In case you guys don't know this little bit. Here you go. This is the, hold on. No, that's the, hold on. Let me back up. Yeah. This is the Republican Party in a nutshell. This is the founding father of the conservative movement, Paul Weyrich, addressing a religious right gathering in Dallas, and Ronald Reagan was present at this thing. Hey, 666. Isn't it funny that I pull up Paul Weyrich's name and suddenly we have 666 people in the chat? Weird. Ladies and gentlemen, the essence of the modern conservative party. I give you Paul Weyrich.
Now, many of our Christians have what I call the goo-goo syndrome. Good government. They want everybody to vote. I don't want everybody to vote. Elections are not won by a majority of people. They never have been from the beginning of our country, and they are not now. As a matter of fact, our leverage in the elections, quite candidly, goes up as the voting populace goes down.
Mm-hmm. That is a Republican. That is one of the main people that Republicans have been taking their cues from for decades. That was the establishment of the modern Republican, fuck off the vote campaign. The goo-goo syndrome, good government. They want as few people to vote as possible, right?
It's true. A lot of
sitting president. Nobody believes. You think Biden got 80 million votes?
It's true.
I don't believe
it's
it.
true that you got more than any.
I don't believe it. Well, you don't believe you lost. You think you're still president or something. You're a deluded sociopath. We know this. And I don't buy narcissist. Anybody who calls him a narcissist, you cannot pass a reflective surface with a face like that and go, yeah, this is what they want.
President in the election you've disputed.
How come he couldn't?
If I can, Mr. President.
Let me ask you this question. How come Biden couldn't attract 20 people for a crowd? How come when he went?
Because it was a pandemic and people showed their allegiance to Biden's ideas by staying home and voting by mail or voting early to avoid crowds and not spread a disease, while a bunch of your followers like, what disease? And now they're dropping like flies because they're the ones who aren't vaccinated. You're killing your own people. And Biden, who hasn't gotten COVID, never got it, never gave it to anybody. How's Herman Cain doing, by the way? At what point do you not recognize that rallies, even of that sort, were an impossibility in the last election? So pitiful.
To speak in different locations, nobody came to watch, but all of a sudden he got 80 million votes. Nobody believes.
If you forgive me, maybe because the election was about you. If I can just move on to ask, are you telling Republicans in 2022 that they must press your case on the past election in order to get your endorsement? Is that an absolute?
They're going to do whatever they want to do. Whatever they have to do, they're going to do. But the ones that are smart, the ones that...
He sounds like a leader.
You take a look at how Carrie Lake is doing running for governor. She's very big on this issue. She's leading by a lot. People have no idea how big this issue is, and they don't want it to happen again. It shouldn't be allowed to happen, and they don't want it to happen again. And the only way it's not going to happen again is you have to solve the problem of the presidential rigged election of 2020.
And how do you solve that problem? What, reinstate you? No, not how it works. They're literally, ask Al Gore. It turns out, he fucking lost by a lot. Like, this isn't even close. 306 and 8 million. Like, forget it. Just stupid number of votes that he lost by, and the Electoral College. Total, just ran the table, right? And yet, Gore was like this. I mean, if the Supreme Court hadn't stopped the count, Gore would have won Florida by 500 votes or some shit. Meaning that Gore actually won the 2000 election. But by the time it was settled and George W. Bush had been sworn in, game, set, match, fucko.
Thank you very much.
Wait. One more question. I want to ask about a court hearing yesterday on January 6th. Judge Amit Mehta, he's gone. Okay.
Just hung up. And imagine how beautifully angry. Now, I know what you're thinking. This is a current photo. He looks fantastic. Is he aging backwards? Well, let's find out, because I don't know when they used that one. Danny Balls had Trump on his show. There's a lot of B-roll in the beginning of this. I had to skip ahead just to get to the part. I have not pre-watched any of these interviews, and even though the segments themselves are 15 minutes long, the interview portion is like maybe 2/3 of the clips, because they're editing and patching holes and trying to explain what the fuck he's talking about. No doubt. We do this all the time with his stuff. Is this part one? Yes, part one. Danny Balls got an exclusive. Came down there to Mar-a-Lago, and you get to see a little bit of the behind the scenes, folks. These are all the people, I guess, that keep Sidney Powell off the property. That's their entire their job now. He said, look 21 times in 7 minutes. Yeah, because nobody will. That's his fear. Yeah, here we go. Now, I have no doubt, I apologize ahead of time, that some of this is going to be boring as fuck, but we'll get through it.
The library bar, just off of the living room, this beautiful.
The library bar, just off the living room. This is where you got to do it. Everybody else did it in the big wedding cake.
Shortly after 1 p.m., this is an impressive estate, I got to tell you. Now, the Real America team, greeting him as you see, we sat and got right to business. The first part of our questioning focused.
Dude, are you running room audio while you're introing this shit? Does anybody work at OAN? I'm dead serious. You just rolling room audio on your B-roll. Nobody flipped that switch. Somebody's
COVID-19, the pandemic, the Biden mandates, and of course.
Yeah, dumb shit. We know. Apparently, you're already doing it in the background. Can you just roll the shit?
Take on the all now controversial COVID vaccine. Mr. President, first and foremost, thank you so much for doing this interview. It's been about.
Nice quality audio. Okay, look, I am completely off the fucking hook right now. I don't want to hear any complaints. Just little old me in my office, a man, a microphone, and a dream. And yet, here's a network with just dumb right-wing money poured into it all the time. What the fuck is happening? Are they loved? What is this?
Since we last spoke. And at that time, of course, the biggest news was the withdrawal from Afghanistan, right, and what a debacle that was.
Did you just wake this fucker up? He looks fantastic. Just ready for anything. Excited. His energy's all geared up. Let me guess, at some point he's going to be squeezing his hands together like this and leaning towards this asshole, trying to convince him that it was a rigged election. What do you think? auditoriums. They're in the library bar. They're doing it in a small room. Yeesh.
Since then, there's been even more crises created by the Biden administration. First and foremost, I want to talk about COVID, the response your team put in place, and then once he took over, the response now. These vaccine mandates, the passports, the restrictions, the masks, all this stuff. If you were still in charge, how would you be handling this? Because
all that stuff happened while he was president. Fucking hell.
Like most Americans now, doesn't matter what side of the aisle they're on, they're fed up. We're 2 years into this now, this March.
They are COVIDed out, and it's enough. And what he's done is so horrible, the way they've handled it. And they had the advantages of all of the things that we developed, and whether it was vaccines or therapeutics. I mean, the therapeutic thing.
Oh, you mean the ones that the South Koreans recognize work, like remdesivir, or the monoclonal antibodies, which have passive immune damage that they can do. And if you just get vaccinated, you don't really need them. You can save yourself the nah, fuck it.
People don't talk about them, but what they're doing now therapeutically. But the mandates are a disaster for our country. I think that's what's more than anything else, although energy is right up there with it. We were energy independent, and now we're not energy independent. We go back to OPEC, and here we go again, and that's why.
Is that what's happening? Oh, cat hair. Hold on. That was fun. Like, see this? This is tough to chip hair. Hold on. I guess this is a good time, since we might have time to bring us there you go. Just in case there are any maggots, that are watching, we're a year into the Biden presidency. We're well past any policies that Trump may have even signed into law as he was leaving. Anything he might have put in place a couple years ago, which he did fuck all. And look at that. And no Keystone, which is, of course, Canadian shale oil, but fuck it. Who cares if Canada, wants to use like the Line 5 pipeline to run their oil over our land through our aquifers, poison our water and our land, just so they can get it closer to where they ship it out on our, and we'll play, the American taxpayer can pay the cleanup. America first. But America is now the leading liquid natural gas supplier, exporter for the first time. What's that word? What's this word? What is that word? That's funny. That's weird. It's a fun word. I like that word. It's a fun word to have around. What is? This is dude is rocking a straight up like Jim Baker mid-'80s televangelist hairdo right now.
Gasoline prices are soaring at a level that they've never seen before. But
oh no, they've never seen before. Please say California $7 gas. Please do it. Because it was $11 in the same gas station in 2018 while he was president. Psst.
You mentioned right at the beginning the word Afghanistan. I just think that
the word Afghanistan, it can mean so many things to so many people. It's so poetic. You mean the name of the fucking country?
Left a stench in everybody's mind all throughout the world.
It left a stench in everybody's mind all throughout the world. Oh, quit it. Wait 1 second.
Right at the beginning, the word Afghanistan. I just think that left a stench in everybody's mind all throughout the world that is not.
What? Okay. I don't know. A stench. A man with a current loaded diaper is saying that Afghanistan left a stench that nobody can shake. You can't nobody else is talking about Afghanistan except him anymore. We're out. I don't know if you've noticed, we're out of Afghanistan. That thing we were in for 20 fucking years. Spinning our wheels for 12. You know that place? We're not in there anymore. And the bad people that were shooting at our soldiers and doing all kinds of nasty shit, yeah, they've spread over into Kazakhstan and other places and are giving Russia headaches and are spreading up into into Xinjiang in China and siding with the Uyghurs, who the Chinese have been murdering and giving them headaches. So the Chinese are having to deal with this, and the Russians are, but they're laughing. Right? Everybody's laughing at us for getting out of there. They're laughing so hard, they're crying. It's so hilarious that America isn't dumping $300 million a day in the desert, holding up a government that was never going to be able to stand on its own, while protecting Russia and China from their enemies within by keeping them busy shooting our people.
Removable. It's not removable. And the fake news can go and...
Wait a minute. The stench is not removable? What the fuck?
He is right up there with it. We were energy independent, and now we're not energy independent. We go back to OPEC, and here we go again, and that's why gasoline prices are soaring at a level that they've never seen before. But, you mentioned right at the beginning the word Afghanistan. I just think that left a stench in everybody's mind all throughout the world that is not removable. It's not removable. And the fake news...
No, nothing will get it out. Not Febreze. Not even a Yankee candle. Not even the celebratory July 4th Yankee candle will get it out. Hey, hold on, I got an idea. You know what could get that stench out? Tell you what, I've had a lot of experience with this, man. Trust me on this or whatever. Here's what you do. You get some steel wool, used, doesn't matter, anything. The kind of stuff you use on a good skillet. You never want to put an iron skillet in the dishwasher. You're going to take out all the flavor out of that thing, man. You want to just hard scrub it, use a little lye. That's all you're going to do. Put it back on the stove, let it dry. That's all you can do. What you want to do, and in your case, sir, I think this will work. You're going to... Yankee Candle puts out a suppository. Now, follow me on this. I know I'm losing you, but I think you'll enjoy it or whatever. It's a normal shaped candle. It's just rounded on both ends with a wick on either side, because you can just kind of flip a coin and choose it. And it's red, white, and blue striped. And when you get to blue, you get a singed butthole. But that's not important. The important thing is the stench is gone. The stench is gone. Y'all know what I'm saying.
Can go and try and pretend like it never happened, and they don't talk about it.
Okay, let's pretend like it never happened. La, 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 la. I don't even remember what happened. 20 years gone like that. Shit.
Much.
Oh, hi, everybody. By the way, my name's Ficus. I'm from Pikeville, Kentucky. I'm a good friend of Hal's. We went to, we were in Boy Scouts together, went to the Jamboree together. He's a good feller, lets me come on the show now and again. We obviously differ. I love this man. I love everything about him. But at the same time, we can agree to disagree about agreeing. You know what I mean? You can agree to disagree without being disagreeable. I think that's what Ruth Luther King said. Is that what her name was? The old lady with the doily on her neck.
They're fake and they're corrupt. But I will tell you, one of the things great about you and your network, you cover it like...
Oh, shit, he's bailing already. Hold on. All right, I'm back. What's great about you guys is get me the fuck out of here.
It's good or bad, but they are corrupt people, and nobody really understands why. How does it benefit us by not wanting to talk about some of the horrors? But I think it was the greatest horror and the greatest embarrassment in the history of our country. And it set the tone for all of the things that have happened since our last talk.
Yeah.
And you look at what's gone on with inflation and the economy and with
I want to get to that. I got to stay on the vaccine.
Oh yeah. He'll get to inflation. Give me that year-over-year number, asshole. Because by spring, your year-over-year number is going to be fucked.
A little bit with Mr. President, because a lot of viewers wrote in. I put a kind of all call out to our viewers on the program. Okay. If you had questions.
Yeah. OAN and Newsmax are big on outsourcing their interview questions. What would you like to ask him? What's the best flavor of horse paste?
President, what would it be? Top two, election integrity, we'll get to in a second. But the other one was the vaccine. Right. You recently stated in an interview with Candace Owens and when you were on the road with Bill O'Reilly doing the book tour and the speaking engagement that you've had the vaccine, 2 shots, and you've had the booster. Right. And you recommend it for folks. We have seen with the VAERS report, there's tens of thousands of side effects, more side effects in this vax than any vax in history.
Yeah, we've heard that it makes you babble and makes you not understand how words work, and makes your hair look like shit, gives you bags under your eyes, makes you incontinent, rude, everything. Instead of losing your sense of taste and smell, everything stinks. It's like there's a stench you can't get rid of. How do you feel about this?
And more deaths. Dr. Robert Malone, 9 patents for the mRNA technology being used in the vaccines. He came on my program a couple weeks.
The MRI? You mean the PCR?
And said, unless you're over 65 and have a comorbidity, I recommend it. Other than that, I don't recommend it.
Psst. Hey, balls. You are talking to a comorbidity that plays golf. Trump's comorbidities have Trump. It's the other way around. Did he say mRNA, or did he just rush through it?
He even is upset he took it himself. He's having heart issues. Looking back, we know that Warp Speed was great. You did amazing.
Oh, hold on. Oh, yeah. It was great. I mean, it was terrible, and you destroyed things. And, of course, Operation Fart Steve was awesome and really made these things happen. But now that they've happened, they're terrible, and no one should take them. That's the argument. How do you give him credit for this and then at the same time shit all over it? What is that? Operation Fart Steed was fantastic. However, by the way, look at, I mean, he's got more makeup on there probably, but what a difference a year makes, huh?
With getting rid of red tape to get something out there. But after now so many months of the vaccine being administered and these side effects and Americans' questions of it, do you reconsider your push for it, or what's your view now on the vaccine in general?
Well, I've taken it. I've had the booster. Many politicians, I watched a couple of politicians be interviewed, and one of the questions was, did you get the booster? Because they had the vaccine. And they're answering it like, in other words, the answer is yes, but they don't want to say it. Because they're gutless. You got to say it. Whether you had it or not, say it. But
oh, okay. This is the part where he's talking about DeSantis. He's referencing what DeSantis said in this. And apparently, where is it? Ann Coulter, didn't take that too well. This is her response to him calling DeSantis gutless. Trump is demanding to know Ron DeSantis' booster status. I can now reveal it. He was a loyal booster when Trump ran in 2016, but then he learned our president was a liar and a con man whose grift was permanent. I hope that clears things up. Again, I mean, there is not enough popcorn in the world to watch these assholes chew each other to pieces.
The fact is that I think the vaccine has saved tens of millions of people throughout the world. I have had absolutely no side effects. I've had it
by the way, horrible poster child for the vaccine in general. And by the way, he had the disease first and then got the vaccine. God, maybe he should have flipped it.
Other people have had it, nothing special. I've had it.
Do you feel for the millions of Americans that have it, though? There's over 100 million that haven't taken it yet. And they have questions, especially younger people with the myocarditis and things.
I don't think young, healthy people should take it. Okay. I don't think that, certainly these young kids, their immune system is so strong.
just like he gives a fuck. But also, what's happening here? What is happening with the hair right here? I mean, it used to be perky or something, right? Didn't it used to have a lip on it and stuff? It's just, did he just take a cap off? Is that what happened? Is that what happens when he takes off his MAGA hat? And this is kind of how I don't know.
I have a son, Barron, who's 15. He had it. It lasted for about 2 seconds, okay? I said, oh, we've got it. Barron, you've got it. And like by the time we called the doctor, it was gone. You know, they have a very strong immune system.
And by the way, no, it wasn't. It took days. He forgets because he's old and stupid. Let's see. Where's... Didn't hear. I know I have it in here. Somewhere. Barron is young and he's free. MAGA. Hold on one second. Oh, let's see. Oh, I don't know where the quote is. Where's our Hongo, Stroker, Lindell, Trump only? Let's see. Oh, maybe it's over on this one still. Hold on. I know, pardon me while I dick around for a second. It's,
I felt really good almost after taking it.
Oh, it's updating on this other thing. Rats. Because the one where he's talking about Barron is free. He's free. We have that someplace. I'll look it up and make sure I have it for next time because I know it'll come up. Barron is beautiful and he's free.
For whatever reason, stronger than even yours, and you're a young guy. But so I don't think they should be taking it at all. At the same time, I think we've saved tens. I think this would have been the Spanish flu. Without the vaccines, I think this would have been the Spanish flu of 1917, where...
Oh, motherfucker. Like he can't say it? He can't get through one saying it. 1918. Danny Balls, you, as dumb as you are, you have to know it's 1918. 1918, you dumb son of a bitch. Like, of all these things, like, he's been talking about it the same fucking way. Yes, 1917, drink, right. Jesus. Like, if you can't get simple details right, why would we take anything else you say seriously? All the fucking time.
100 million people died. We were losing people like left and right.
Yeah. How about the mandates,
the people,
though?
let me just say this. The people that take it, and I know some that took it, got it, but they never went to the hospital. They never got very sick. If you look at the stats, they can get it, but it's not like before. I lost 10 people, friends of mine. One of them, a big developer in New York, a great guy, Stanley Scherer. He called me, he said, I'm going to the hospital, I have COVID. This was before the vaccine. And he said, I'm going to the hospital, I have COVID. Very, very great guy, very successful. He had every problem. He was heavy, he was rich, and he was old.
Comorbidities, sure.
The rich. He was very rich, he was old, and he was heavy. He had them all. And but he said...
Yeah, just for the record, being rich is not a comorbidity.
He called me, he said, listen, I'll call you in a couple of days. I'm going to the hospital. I have COVID. And I called him the following day. I called him, and I said, how's he doing? He's in a coma. He's in a coma. And people forget. But I would say this, young people, I don't believe they should take it. Although, if they have some kind of a problem, diabetes, et cetera, then they probably should.
The risks from any side effects of the vaccine outweigh it to save them from COVID?
I think they should.
Okay.
But look, people that are taking the vaccine, if they get it, which isn't that often, but if they get it.
And by the way, this all vaccine talk aside, what are we actually watching here? We're watching Donald Trump go on OAN and try to walk back all of his people from a ledge. He's trying to turn around a herd of lemmings that bought into his bullshit for years. And now he can't get them to take the vaccine that he wants credit for. And this has nothing to do with the rest of the country. This has nothing to do with liberals or Democrats or progressives or independents even. This is 100% about the fact that this asshole and OAN both realize that he's killing off his own voters. And they're looking at these numbers. There's a reason why the language, they've turned a corner on how they talk about this anymore. Because they know this is getting into the area where it's going to affect the vote next year. That old people tend to vote more than young people. That's a guarantee. If you kill off a statistically significant number of old people from this disease that vote for you, you got a problem, especially if they're the ones who get the rest of their family to vote or motivate them to vote.
They're not going to hospital for the most part and dying. Before, it was a horror.
By the way, this is exactly what Republicans are shitting on Fauci for saying right now in Congress. In all these congressional hearings, this is exactly what Fauci keeps bringing up, and this is what they're shitting on him about.
And now they're not. Now, one of the problems we have, when I was president...
By the way, Danny Balls is not buying any of this. Look at his face.
Remember this very well. There was no mandate. There was no you have to take anything. And people...
There was no anything, dum-dum. You had like a million doses. The first person to get the COVID vaccine was in the UK. You didn't have time to put a mandate in place. And the idea was you didn't really need one. What? No. Oh, we've got. Oh, thanks. By the way, for jumping in there. Oh God, just ease up. Nobody cares. Hold on. We've got somebody taking up a bunch of space. Okay. I don't care if people write stuff, but God, you're just taking so much. It's like, we get it.
Taking it. They were taking it openly and gladly. I think they don't trust the Biden administration. That's why they're not taking it.
Yeah? Oh, because they were totally gonna take it until Biden won? Is that what it was?
They have to be able to make their own choice. Freedom, we call it freedom. Yeah. There shouldn't be mandates. I think the mandates, in addition to being bad for a lot of other reasons,
the economy,
whether it's physical or religious or other things, I think it's killing.
Hold on. Trump. Okay.
The economy. I actually think that's why the economy is doing so badly.
Is that why the economy is doing so badly? Hi. Oh, thank you. Welcome. Thanks very much. You're welcome. That's lovely. Look at that. A refresher from Starbucks. I am going to be jacked to the bejesus belt. And the green straw is creating a very strange effect. It's magic. I'm drinking OAN. I guess my girl ran to Starbucks. Well, yeah. I'm going to be so ridiculously caffeinated by the end of the show. It's going to be a 9-hour show. Buckle in.
I know you've been outspoken about the mandates.
Sorry. Buckle up, strap in. I can speak. Just reading and talking at the same time is not a good idea.
In favor of no mandates.
No mandates, no.
Even the military, who takes shots to go in, I'm a veteran,
Yeah.
but on this, where it's experimental, 8 months of testing, this should be a private choice, my belief, between the doctor and the person.
I agree with
no
that.
mandates.
No, I agree.
Yeah, except we invest millions of dollars in pilots, especially, and in engineers and other people who are in the military, and hundreds of thousands of dollars in almost every single soldier. And if we wipe out a section of our military with an easily treatable disease, by the way, none of these fuckers have had a problem. Not a single soldier has had an issue with the vaccine.
I think the mandates have been terrible, and I think they've really hurt the whole concept of the word vaccine, frankly.
I hate that it's been politicized. I bet you do too. That the whole thing of COVID,
No,
the
I
vaccine,
don't-
everything's been politicized. Both sides have used it.
But when we first came up with this, and don't forget, I got it done in less than 9 months. It was supposed to take 5 years, 7 years, 12 years, and they didn't think.
Yeah, it just gets longer and longer and longer. Every time he tells it, this fucking fish gets bigger.
Get it done. I was very proud of that achievement, and I still am. I'm not going to give that up. Oh, the other side would love to take that. They feel very differently than you do. You understand that. The other side.
They think it's a good thing what I did, whereas you think it's evil. 1,300 people in the chat room. I'm amazing.
A substantial portion of people, they disagree with some of the numbers that you're given. And I would say this, we would have a world, not only a nation, we would have a world that would have tremendous death, much more than we have right now, which is a lot.
Yes, hear that, Dan? If you were president, death everywhere. I can think of no better compliment for you and your dinner theater Rockford Files hairdo. All right. He goes to break, and then he comes back, and then there's a chunk of stuff, and then they go to the next piece.
America let a weak-minded, feeble puppet like Biden into the Oval Office.
Oh, you mean the guy who beat Trump like a rented mule?
Go to the economy, because under you, we had the strongest numbers we have seen, and now constantly the job report numbers come out.
No, we did not. Jimmy Carter created twice as many jobs in his single term than Trump did. Look it up. Twice as many. Before COVID. Not counting all the COVID, the loss of jobs when the economy shit the bed because Trump was like, it's fine, 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 it's not gonna be anything, it's fine. And by waiting until the last fucking minute, we couldn't do it in a measured way. It just had to be cut off all at once. Xi Jinping is handling this. It's fantastic. We're doing so good. The fucking economy entered a recession in February. Okay, hold on. Which February would that be? Oh, February 2020. The world's longest expansion, America's longest expansion, ended. The United States economy officially entered a recession in February 2020. The committee that calls downturns announced on Monday, bringing the longest expansion record to an end as the coronavirus pandemic caused economic activity to slow sharply. And this is before we did. This is before the shutdown. The economy hit its peak in February, has since fallen to a downturn. Yeah, it hit its peak in February and then started to go down. The National Bureau of Economic Research Business Dating Committee said a recession begins when the economy reaches peak of activity and ends when it reaches its trough. This downturn is the first since 2009, when the last recession ended, and marks the end of the longest expansion in 128 months, and records dating back to 1854. The longest expansion? Oh, you mean all during Clinton, all during Obama? All right. And then 3 years of Trump. National Bureau of Economic Research, a nonprofit group that tracks economic cycles, and note the unusual circumstances surrounding the slump in its announcement. The committee recognized the pandemic and the public health response have resulted in downturn with different characteristics and dynamics of prior recessions. Nonetheless, it concluded the unprecedented magnitude of the decline in employment and production and its broad reach across the entire economy warrants the designation of this episode as a recession, even if it turns out to be briefer than earlier contractions. It didn't. He made it worse all the time. Also, he sold the largest order of beef, corn, and soybeans to China in the middle of all this shit while Americans were in food lines. That's right. Remember summer of 2020? Jobs went away and people needed to like drive out and sit in their cars for hours waiting for food. That was it. Yeah. Trump, who also believes that China struck us with a bioweapon on purpose, sold them all of our food. Because America first, apparently.
Recent ones, 199,000. When the Biden regime was expecting to see 450, 500, every job report is dismal. Yep. Unemployment's down.
It's 1 million more than was expected, and we're at 3.9%.
4.5 million folks have left the job market since November, but they come out, this administration, and brag that they're creating jobs. Now, those were jobs that sat idle that are slowly coming back. What are they doing wrong? Because you had us where we had more jobs than people.
First of all, it's the mandates.
We had more jobs than people. That's exactly what we have right now.
It's stopping people from working because they're losing their job in many cases, okay? They're losing their job and the employer can't hire anybody else. Also, they're given an incentive now. We're like a communist state. They're given an incentive not to work. They make more money if they don't because they get checks. They get money.
Dude, that's been over since the summer.
The money is being sent to them. And I'm a little surprised at one thing.
By the way, are we still getting $2,000 checks? Anybody gotten anything since the 1400? What the fuck are you talking about? UI dried up over the summer. Most of the states stopped it earlier.
I think they'd have more loyalty to companies in a way, but they're really incentivized not to go back to work. It's a terrible thing that's happening. And that's what's happening, whether it's the border or that we're going into these situations that our country's never put ourselves in this position. We have never, in my opinion, been lower as a country in terms of the thought process, in terms of what people think of us. We have never, ever been low like this. And I'm saying...
that's because he actually thinks people were impressed by his presidency. That's the... Yeah, 1.3 in the chat room. That's amazing. Welcome, everybody. Thanks for sharing the show and liking and subscribing and all that kind of stuff. And I know this is a unique show. I don't just grab a little chunk of something, take it out of context, shit all over it, and pretend I know all of it like some other people do who do reaction videos. When I get into this kind of stuff, we do the whole thing. Even when it's painful.
And I'm going to say it again. It started with that horrible and stupidly implemented withdrawal. And I was all for getting out. I'm the one that got us down, Dan, to 2,500 soldiers and less. But Abdul,
Oh, God. You mean the Bardar, the guy you got out of a Pakistani jail to negotiate our exit and said, as long as you don't shoot any of our people, we'll be out by May 31st? That deal you made? P.S. You can have 5,000 of your favorite, most murderous Taliban soldiers released from a jail. We'll make the Afghans release them from prison to get ready for that day.
The Taliban respected me.
Oh, thanks.
And
thanks,
we had
LM.
talks, and I said, don't do it.
Thank
don't
you,
do it. He didn't do it. We didn't lose, as you have said, I've heard you say, 18 months we didn't lose one soldier. Not one.
We lost 64 soldiers while he was president. There were 96 dignified transfers during Trump's presidency where they brought dead soldiers home. Trump went to 4 of them. And these weren't all just Afghanistan. We lost soldiers elsewhere. There were accidents, that kind of stuff. They bring the soldiers home. Some of them we know about. Some of them we don't know about because their deaths were covert. Trump went to 4 of them. But maggots love the military, right? Oh, MAGA's all about the military. Oh, we love the military. We support our troops. First and foremost, 96 He went to 4. You know why he stopped going? Because one of the parents, the father of one of the soldiers, blamed him for that soldier's death. So he was offended and he stopped going. Hold on one second. House Parks. And then there's the rainy day in France when Trump didn't show up to honor the dead. Yeah, because it would fuck with his hair. Jesus. Again, if you support this guy, my question is why? Everything about what he's talking about is a lie. Notice since I started calling him out about the VA choice thing, he knocked that shit off. Like, I hammered that harder than anybody all last year and the year before, and finally, he stopped doing it. Sometimes he does it almost like a tick. Like, you can see he starts doing it, claiming that he did VA choice. Remember that bullshit? Which Obama signed into law? And he takes credit for it?
Soldier was killed. They said, you're not going to do it. And they didn't do it. And we would have gotten out, we would have taken every tank and every plane and every screw and every bolt. And I even said, take the hangars. Sir, should we leave the hangars? You know, the big canvas hangars. Yeah. They thought it was cheaper to leave. I said, you know what? You're taking them too. You're taking everything. And we're going to keep Bagram, and we're going to have a force at Bagram. But
yeah. Oh, that's the other thing. We're going to leave Afghanistan, but we're going to have a permanent base there. Because that's what leaving means. We're just going to play just the tip with Afghanistan forever.
Because of Afghanistan, because it's 1 hour away from where China makes its nuclear weapon.
No, it is not. They do not make their nuclear weapons in Xinjiang.
You're talking a little foreign policy.
And by the way, I don't doubt that they have nuclear silos. Maybe that's what he's talking about. But they don't have a nuclear factory out there.
Discussed that just the other day. Iran, a foreign adversary, pretty much put a target on you and former Secretary Pompeo's head. Shouldn't a current president come out and put some bold language towards a foe like that when they make a threat towards a former president?
If we had a president who was respected, they would have never said that. What they said is a terrible thing. But if we had a president...
Well, they didn't threaten him. Yeah, they don't seem to... They're making deals with him. Maybe they think that because of how things go over there, that treating you like shit is a way to get in good with the current dude. Because, as Iranian leaders go, that's not actually a bad play. If you're trying to make a deal with the current Iranian leader, one of the ways you could do it is, hey, that guy you ousted? Fuck that guy. That's kind of how they operate.
And remember, Soleimani killed many of our people and many people all over the world. He's the father. He was so proud of it. The roadside bomb. Yeah. You'd be driving down a road, and all of a sudden, your whatever you're driving, your Humvee, your Jeep, your car, your tank, blew to smithereens, and if you didn't die, you lost your legs, you lost your arms. We had 13 deaths.
Oh, you mean like Tammy Duckworth? Why don't you tip a hat to her? Huh? No?
In the attack, and if you look at it, was an attack, certainly a suicide bomber, but now it turns out they knew who the suicide bomber was, probably planned it. But we had 13 dead. What they don't talk about are the 28 soldiers that are missing legs and arms. Many more were very, very badly hurt. But Soleimani was the father of the roadside bomb. Yeah.
Name one. Name one. Like, isn't this... We've all seen politicians and people who deal with these kind of things in a multitude of situations. I've seen Hillary Clinton do it dozens of times, where she'll name drop somebody. This dude could not name one of those injured soldiers. Not fucking one. I mean, dude can't name the good Republicans and the bad Republicans, right? Like, we got some good ones, and he'll like, who's the bad ones? Mitch McConnell sucks and these people. But beyond Jim Jordan and anybody else that starts with Jim, like, he can't name any of these folks. And he certainly doesn't know the name of any of the soldiers that died or were wounded.
Being a vet, Mr. President,
never brings a single one up. Never says, I spoke with the family of so-and-so, one of the soldiers who yada yada. Like, it's not that, it's fairly common when things like this happen, the presidents and former presidents, these are the kind of anecdotes. Right, but Abdul, he knows that dude. He's on a first name basis with Baradar. Jesus.
Duty and veterans would congratulate you for taking him out. He needed to go. I want to pivot real quick.
But if we had a president who was respected, they would have never made that statement.
Yeah. Speak softly, carry a big stick.
Yeah,
Our stick's not as strong anymore, and his voice is weak.
He's speaking softly and carrying a big stick. Motherfucker, why didn't you come up with AUKUS? Biden is doing precisely that. Russia called him, asking for more talks. China hasn't flown over the Taiwanese airspace since October because we're circling the island with Japanese and Australian forces.
Let's talk about immigration. You brought it up. We had, and I've had experts on the show from Border Patrol to DEA, whatnot, that worked for you and 3-4 past presidents.
Great
the
people
border
too.
was as secure as it could be under your administration.
That's right.
Yeah, and then you built that shitty wall, and somehow now it's easier to get through? What the fuck is that? I love how since so much of the wall was built, the border is more porous. It's easier to get through. That stupid fucking wall just made it I don't know what it was. Just made it so inviting. The slap fence.
Record human sex trafficking, drug trafficking. There's more fentanyl deaths than COVID, obesity, cancer combined in 18 to 45-year-olds.
Yeah, in the year over year from April of last year, meaning that most of those months happened during Trump. Only 3 months of that entire year you're talking about, which was the biggest spike, and the deaths didn't all happen in those 3 months. They happened in the winter and the fall of the previous year. That was the biggest spike. Who was president in 2020 in the fall and in the summer? I can't remember.
It is an absolute disaster. And now every state is...
Here's all the stuff they've seized. Now they're seizing all this fentanyl. Damn it.
In a border state, because this administration is shipping them in the middle of the night on buses and planes and trains with our tax money. It's a disaster. And you had created something solid, and it was only getting better with the wall being built.
We had the strongest border in the history of our country. We'd never had anything like
it. Yes, thank you, COVID.
Drugs were down 50, 60%. They were going down further. They were going way down because...
No, they weren't. And it got worse during COVID, even with lower traffic coming across the border.
Drug guys were having a hard time getting in. Now they're just wheeling these big, they don't even try and cover it up anymore. They just ride right through the border.
Oh, they do? Do they? So Customs and Border Patrol has just decided, fuck America. We're not even going to stop these trucks anymore. I don't care if they end up in rural Indiana or Kansas or Kentucky or Tennessee. Fuck them, right? Good old Customs and Border Patrol. These are DEA. These are people who love our country and fought very hard but now they don't even, they're under orders to just let it through. What the fuck kind of fantasy bullshit is this? This is some of the largest seizures in their country's history that have happened in the last 6 months.
We had it down a level that hadn't been seen in years. Fentanyl, which is sort of new, but it's more vicious than all of them combined, comes out of China for the most part. They're going through Mexico because the border's no good. And with me, and I told President Xi of China, don't do it, don't send us that crap. And you know what? They had largely stopped.
They had not. Why do you think all those OD deaths happened in 2020 and into 2021? What do you think? That was old fentanyl. It didn't even kill them because it was toxic. It was spoiled. It was past the best by date.
Now they're going crazy with it. It's going through Mexico, pouring through the drug traffic.
Yes. Oh, you mean the guys that are being arrested and the stuff that's being seized? it doesn't really do your case very well when you're showing the seizures, when they're actually catching people. You know that, right? And again, this goes to him like shitting on the military, that they surrendered in Afghanistan to guys with knives, that whole story. Right now, he's shitting on Customs and Border Patrol and the DEA, going, they don't give a fuck anymore. Now that Biden's president, they don't give a fuck who dies. They hope Americans die. What are you talking about?
Is at a level that we've never seen before, 5 or 6 times up from what it was a year and a half ago.
You mean the stuff that's caught?
5 or 6 times, and it's getting much worse than that. And that's only what we know. Our family's had a tragedy with that. Our family's had a tragedy, so I can imagine. Yeah, well, so many families.
Okay, hold on. What? 1 second. Yeah, this is what he's using. More fentanyl seized by CPB so far in 2021 than in all of 2020. Methamphetamine seizures are more slowly approaching 2020 levels. Yeah, meth managed to make its way across, mainly because you can make it in the States. But the fentanyl coming across, there you go. Customs and Border Protection seized more fentanyl so far in 2021 than all of 2020. As of April, 6,494 pounds of fentanyl were seized by authorities at the border, compared to 4,776 in all of 2020. In fact, fentanyl seizures have been increasing since 2018. We have been catching this shit. Fentanyl is an incredibly potent opioid that's 50 to 100 times stronger than morphine. People don't realize how dangerous it is. As a physician, Sutton administers fentanyl in micrograms and said that more than 6,000 pounds seized by the CBP is incomprehensible. When you talk about that amount, how many communities and people will affect, how many deaths, blah, blah, blah. Methamphetamine seizures are slowly approaching 2020 levels, according to CBP. This year, 105,032 pounds of methamphetamine have been seized in all of 2020. There were just over 177,000 pounds of meth seized. What's the drug that they use Sudafed to make? What's that? Hold on 1 second. This is the is it meth? Yeah, that's what you make Sudafed. You said Sudafed to make meth, right? The green Sudafed, not the regular kind now. The kind you can only get in Europe. The stuff that he's got in his drawer. So am I to guess that supposedly Sleepy Joe is more fentanyl friendly, according to him, and Trump is more meth friendly?
Young man, 26-year-old, took one pill, laced with fentanyl, didn't know it.
A relation of
my best friend's kid, like my nephew. Yeah. So it really hits home for me.
All over.
And I know your administration.
When? Recently? During the last 11 months?
Before any border talk, you really attacked the opioid crisis. You were attempting to try and get it down, and the numbers were lowering.
Right.
But with this border crisis, it only seems.
No, they weren't. They've been increasing since 2018, since he started paying attention to it. That's right. Since Trump started paying attention to the issue. Hold on 1 second. This is woman arrested in an incident occurring May 20th. A 21-year-old Georgia pulled aside further inspection. CBP upon closer found to have a white powdery substance. Tested positive for cocaine. Authorities are just smugglers. Why is this the link? Ports, CB conducts operations on a typical day. On a typical day, authorities seize an average of 3,677 pounds of drugs from people traveling all across the country, according to the CBP. On a typical day. Why does this have been increasing since then? It's usually whether you can unmask. Let's see. As of April, 6,000. Gun ammunition season grow by 30%. Okay. These are the ones seized. They have seized a 30% increase. The idea is that somehow this is indicative not of people getting better at their job or them doing more tracking or some of the, limited ways they could bring it across, or even if Trump wanted to take credit for the wall limiting the number of places where they can actually get drugs through, it's easier to bust them when they have to drive through in vehicles and they check these things and they got better ways of checking them. And they also, of course, watch a lot of these vehicles miles and miles before they ever get to the border. But the 30% increase is in guns and drugs seized at the border. Now, the idea that Trump is presenting is that this could not possibly be because CBP and DEA are better at getting the stuff. It's just a rise in volume. The idea is that Customs and Border Patrol and DEA are just incompetent assholes and only, routinely bungle their way across a pile of drugs. It's not because they're getting better at their job or we're getting better systems for doing it, or the dogs are getting better, or they're scanning stuff. They've got robots that sniff for drugs now. None of that shit. It's not that. There's got to be a lot more of it. Otherwise, you just stumble upon it. In September, what is this? In September, according to authorities, Pascal Ferrier sent letters to President Trump filled with ricin, and a few days later, she was arrested at the northern border with a firearm at the northern border. That weapon was one of 142 firearms Customs and Border Patrol officers at the northern border seized coming in out of the country this year, representing a nearly 30% increase over the number of weapons seized in 2019. Oh, just so at our northern border, just our northern border. Okay, so what's the southern border then? This is Canadians. What the fuck? This says at the border. I went seized by authority at the border, and the links on this ABC News, your links are all over the fucking place. Yeah, this is, and it goes right to this story, related, God knows why. Anyways, we'll continue.
To me, this is the new pandemic we've got to address.
So if you're not going to attack the border and the wall, which was almost finished, in 3 weeks they could have had it finished. And not only to show you the vindictive...
What kind of shitty wall doesn't function, but for 3 more weeks of work?
And the hatred and the stupidity. The wall is laying there. It was all bought. All they had to do is erect the rest of it. It would have taken 3 to 4 weeks.
Never mind the land they have to do on it is privately owned, and some of it they had marked out was actually Mexican territory. Mexico was like, fuck that, and we were going to do it anyways, and now the stuff's laying there going, well, unless the state wants to buy it, fuck it.
Took it away, moved it to a federal site, and won't let Texas or Arizona, whoever wants to use it, they say, go out and buy your own wall. They won't even give it to them. No, and think of this. That's like, what is going on here? And we have people coming in, and these aren't people that...
Well, see, they're the property of the federal government, and therefore the nation's taxpayers, not just the taxpayers of Texas and Arizona. If those guys want to do their own thing, they don't get to just appropriate all the stuff that the federal government has done. You don't get to do it with tanks and guns. Why the fuck would you be able to do it with any other materials?
Some.
Yeah, so here's the legal precedent. You allow this to happen, and then Texas seizes materials for the interstate highway system to build local roads. Because fuck interstate commerce.
Maybe not. I don't know. Jails are being emptied into our country from many countries. You know, we had last week 129 different countries being represented. From all over the world they're pouring in. It's not just Guatemala and Honduras and El Salvador, Mexico. This is now...
What? At least they're saying please. I think that's the good thing.
People, murders, and rapists.
Look at this woman. Murders, rapists, toddlers.
As you said that the mainstream media is misconstrued.
Look at this. Look at this kid. Clearly let out of a maximum security. They commuted his life sentence. He's a little Ted Bundy wannabe. Look at guys. You might want to work on your story versus B-roll.
And by the way, the mainstream media doesn't even talk about it.
No.
They don't show the border.
I know.
When you have thousands of people just walk.
They're just walking across just to play basketball, apparently. The Bulls, Michael Jordan tried to get in. And the dude with I'm digging the dude with the Beijing bikini. This is from the people who were crossing, who were coming from Haiti. Most of them got turned back. They were like, we ended up on a plane. Now we're in Haiti. I don't even have a house here.
Right into our country. Many of those people are bad people. And Honduras and all of these countries that are sending their bad people, they're sending bad people. And why wouldn't they? They have prisoners.
Well, I'll tell you why. Because they're not going to put them in transports and bring them all up and dump them, because obviously we would see this as an act of war. So that means that they have to let them out right at the prison door and say, look, leave here and start going towards the United States. And if you fuck around, we're going to be very upset. Don't murder, rape, or kill until you get to the U.S. border. Promise? Sure.
Murderers, they have rapists, they have drug dealers. They're sending them all to the United States because we're run by a stupid person, a very stupid person who has no idea what's going on. And the only thing they're good at is cheating in elections and politics.
Oh.
Straight talk.
Straight talk from his asshole. That's all they know is how to cheat in an election. Of course, they also know how to take over, apparently, all big corporations, big tech, the entire government. They were able to oust the sitting president using 8 volunteers from Atlanta. But they don't know how to do anything right. Okay. This is Section 3, shall we?
Past 45. How will he help make our elections great again? Let's talk election integrity. We've got Chuck Schumer and the Democrats threatening to blow up the filibuster. Now, I'm going to throw both sides under the bus because, as you know, in decades past, both sides have tried to remove the filibuster when they wanted to push something through.
Yeah.
One, what do you think about removing the filibuster? And two, this John Lewis elections, voting rights, whatever bill they're trying to call it, to virtue signal, let's be real folks in the country.
Yes, it's just a virtue signaling bill. It doesn't actually, there's nothing legally binding about it. It's just to show off. Yeah, and the audio just keeps getting better. I don't know what the fuck. I have like a cat hair in my eye, and it's not fucking around. Okay, I think I got it.
Is a federal takeover elections. Constitution says it's supposed to be run by the states. Yep. So your opinion on the filibuster and their move to take over the election?
Yeah, they run by the states, but they don't get to override the will of their voters and just go, we've decided as a state to fuck the voters in their federal elections. You can do it in your state elections, knock yourself out.
They're trying to do it. Mitch McConnell has done a terrible job of stopping it. Yeah. He gave them a 2-month hiatus. And during that hiatus, they got their act together. And they already got the non-energy bill. I call it the infrastructure bill.
It's brilliant. It is brilliant. The turn of phrase, it is one of the best words. The infrastructure bill. Just so good. It's just like Afghanistan infrastructure week. That also ended.
It was supposed to be energy and it was supposed to be infrastructure. But let's just talk about infrastructure. 9% of the bill is infrastructure. So that means...
Yeah, which part? Why are you looking at us? Why are you looking at the camera? Is it because you feel caught because you don't know what the fuck you're talking about? Because you're talking out of your ass? Do you not consider broadband infrastructure at this point? Phone lines, lead pipes, streets, bridges, roads, dams, hydropower, charging stations, infrastructure, oh God.
With 90%, we're paying to get 9% crummy infrastructure, mostly Green New Deal crap that is like throwing the money out the window. And Mitch McConnell, when he gave them a 2-month stay, the other thing, he didn't use the debt ceiling. He should have used the debt ceiling. The debt ceiling is a beautiful weapon. We could have made it, and they'll use it on us. Let me tell you, if we take over, they will be using the debt ceiling on us like you wouldn't believe. And they did with me.
Did they?
They would always threaten. Mitch McConnell said, no, we don't want to use the debt ceiling. The problem is the debt ceiling is largely psychological. You know, nobody really knows what, it's something, it's a psychological thing. Maybe bad, maybe not. We know what they're doing.
What are you talking about? The debt ceiling is a legally binding thing. What do you mean it's what the fuck? It's a thing. I don't even know if it's real. They just talk about it. I don't know. Maybe it's, nobody knows if it's good, bad. Are we for it or against it? I don't know. Does anybody know? Nobody knows. I know more about the economy than the economists do, but I don't even, what's the debt ceiling? Jesus.
Is bad. Because they're taking $6 trillion and throwing it away, and we don't have that money. We already owe $30 trillion. We don't have that money. And they're throwing it away on waste. They're wasting the money. And Mitch McConnell is a bad leader, and the Republicans ought to get smart.
No, normally I don't interrupt when he's on one of his rhino rants. We just let this go.
Get rid of this guy and put somebody else in.
I have a question about the party, but real quick on that. The second biggest question I got from our viewers next to the vaccine, in your opinion on that, would be election integrity. Moving forward.
Yes. How can you have election integrity if JFK Jr. is not your running mate next time? Also, lizard people, baby milkshakes, adrenochrome, go.
Midterms.
Which there is none.
That's what I was going to ask. How can people feel confident? I know certain states have taken measures to ensure
they're doing some states.
But how do we ensure that midterms and then moving to 24, that they're going to be secure?
The election of 2020 was a rigged election. If you were watching the election at 10 o'clock in the evening, it was over. We had won Pennsylvania by massive numbers. Then all of a sudden, everything closed up. And
yeah, it's amazing how well you do when you stop counting when you're ahead, when you know a lot of votes for the other person are coming in. That's why it went from like stop the count to stop the steal. Remember that?
Reopened or reawakened. And all these votes started coming in. In many cases, there are no votes. The whole thing changed.
Yes. They've counted them and counted them and counted them again and looked at them and held them up and called people. Did you vote this way? Yes, I did. It is, but they don't exist. Jesus Christ.
Overnight or over a period of a few days. This was the greatest scam, and I say it was the crime of the century because of the outcome, which was rigged and stolen, but it was a rigged election. Because of that outcome.
Is there a difference between rigged and stolen in this particular circumstance? Anybody? Yeah, this is fun, by the way. Also, remember, experience a little joy right now, kids. This asshole is sitting in the library bar, another unused room at Mar-a-Lago, completely wasted. God knows what fucking people do in there the rest of the time. No fire in the fireplace. I don't know what's going on in that situation. Is there a light on? What is happening? Anyways, none of this matters, and he knows it. He's saying the same shit to another asshole who asks him the same questions. None of it is going anywhere, and he knows it. Thanks, Josh. Oh, by the way, you're watching Hal Sparks Megaworldwide. I'm on every afternoon, 3 o'clock to 5 o'clock, except Thursdays. Tomorrow, I'll be on from 4 o'clock to 6 o'clock because we do family FaceTime on Thursdays, and I'm not going to move it for anybody, even you guys, as much as I love you. Monday, Wednesday, Friday, I do a morning show, 9 a.m. Pacific time. And it's just live and we chit-chat about, we don't go through these kind of clips. We just hang out and it's a philosophical gathering and a nice morning hang. And then, of course, the radio show, the Hal Sparks radio program, Megaworldwide on Saturdays. If you want to support the show, like and subscribe, give the thumbs up. Also, if you're a troll and you hate the show and you're very angry, please give a thumbs down. Please also write something in the chat. That helps us with the algorithm. You can do no harm here. There you go. Have I read the article in the New Yorker today? I have not, but I don't know which one you're talking about. So there you go. I'll look at the bottom of his chair. Okay. Is it the bottle of water or his weird feet hook that he does?
The inflation, we have the bad border, we have the Afghanistan disaster, we have all of these things. None of them, they're all self-inflicted. None of these things would have taken place had the election been square.
Well, that's it. I mean, it was square, but for the record, he's right about Afghanistan because he was never going to get out. Cosmic Rose, thank you. Yes, please check Patreon messages and your postal mail for a package from patrons. Okay, I will do. Thank you. Is it the mug? Is that what you're talking about? Because I got that. I've been using it. I love it. Yeah, we might break 1,400 tonight.
The things that are coming out, and the fake news is really the culprit here, because they don't go after anything. Just like they didn't want to talk about Hunter Biden at all, because it made a difference of 15 points if they talked about it. The laptop.
Which the laptop's been off.
What laptop? There is no Hunter Biden laptop. Prove me wrong. Show a picture of it. Hold it up. Where's Rudy? Rudy's had it this whole time. Where the fuck is it? Have you seen it? Anybody? Does he hold it up when he goes on Fox? If you had it, would you ever be without it? You'd pose everywhere you went with it. You'd bring it to fucking CPAC. You'd go, ladies and gentlemen, the Hunter Biden laptop. Right? Yeah? Bullshit. Thank you, John Deere.
We know the material is real.
But it made a difference of 15 points, okay? Now, it didn't matter. I got 75 million votes. Nobody believed. And I got more votes than any sitting president in the history of our nation.
Because of mail-in voting. Letting people vote benefits. I mean, that's why Republicans got... I mean, you gain seats in the House because of mail-in voting. But you lost because the mail-in voting helped Democrats more because there were more voters. You were outnumbered.
I don't believe he got 80 million votes, okay? I don't believe from his basement he'd go to do a rally and nobody would show up. I go to do a rally and I'd have 40, 50,000 people and more.
Yeah, but you also killed off a bunch of your supporters during that time as well. Because what kind of an asshole has a maskless gathering that size repeatedly during a fucking pandemic? Who would do that? We don't vote by rally, dum-dum. And a bunch of those people are return customers. And the minute you started charging, getting people to pay money for these little free dangle events that you were doing, what happened? Ask Bill O'Reilly. How much did you clear? We made $2 million gross, according to Bill O'Reilly, on those shows, right? You grossed $2 million? It was $1.9 million in costs for those venues.
And nobody would show up, and then all of a sudden we lose that state. Not possible. It's interesting. They have like little...
It's the same assholes over and over again. Who gives a shit if you have the same 40,000 cult-like followers? Dude, 30 Seconds to Mars can draw crowds that size and they pay $150 a ticket in almost any state. They're not going to win a single election, though.
Sort of rules of thumb. If you win Florida
they charge money.
and Ohio, you win the election. But if you win Florida...
Yeah, in 1992.
Ohio and Iowa, and I won them big. Then not only do you win, it's like nobody's ever lost an election that's won those states.
They have.
You win Alabama in record numbers, and you win South Carolina in record numbers, and then you...
Like every other Republican, even the ones that lost?
Lose Georgia. And you see what just came out in Georgia, by the way, where they have on video, now nobody's seen it yet, but they have videos of many people, like 200 and some odd people, every morning going and stuffing the ballot boxes, these fake boxes that were set up, for far more votes than...
You mean the people putting their votes in?
Necessary to win the election.
We're already talking about...
Right. That's right. Jake and Logan Paul sell out arenas. Right. And he's not going to win an election anytime soon.
In terms, we're going to need more mailboxes on the corner, the drop boxes.
Those drop boxes.
So we can stand in line to get a test or a vaccine, but we can't stand in line to vote.
Those drop boxes are a criminal event, okay? And what's happening with the drop boxes, how about where they have boxes 97% for Biden, 3% for Trump, okay? No.
Yeah, because of the areas that they're in, they were the places that were denied polling places.
We won the election. We won it big. I ran twice. I won it the first time, and I did better the second time. I was told, first time I got 63 million votes. I was told that if I got the same, I couldn't lose, okay? Because it...
Right. So you wrote a check to a bunch of these dudes to get them to fraudulently create tens of thousands of votes and in a bunch of these states, and you lost anyways. And there's nothing you can do about it. And all these Republicans don't want you to look, don't want to look at the votes and don't want people to scrutinize it because they're going to recognize that Biden actually got more votes and that a bunch of your votes were fucking fake. That kind of thing.
No enthusiasm for Biden. And if you look at all the other stats, like the Ohio and Florida thing, you look at...
Yeah, it's funny. It's almost like people chose to vote based on competence, not enthusiasm.
There's like 9 of them, stats. Every single one of them I won, and yet...
He's spitting on Dan Ball. Danny Balls is leaning back. I'm like, I shouldn't have brought this up.
Lost the election. Never happened to a president before. But if I got 63, we...
Yes, it's true. I have to say, it is true, though. Not only is Trump a loser, he's a special kind of a loser. He lost on such a scale and in such an original... I mean, you got to give him one thing, is that when he loses big and he's original. You know what I mean? When they made a loser like Trump, they broke the mold. Except the mold that's obviously in his deep folds.
I got 12 million more votes. No president, no sitting president has ever gotten more votes than I got, and they've never had 12 million either. In other words, they won by an extra million, or a lot of them got less, like Biden in his second term. Got less votes than he got in his first term, but he still won.
Biden is still in his first term, by the way. He does know that, right?
I got far more, and I lost the election.
Yeah.
Doesn't
Can we
work.
talk about the future?
Yes, you lost. Big F. Like, just, sorry. His hair fell off again. It happens.
Of the party real quick before we end with you here. It seems to be a little fractioned off. I think the Democrats are more fractioned than Republicans as far as their old school, like a Joe Manchin, their new, more progressive, and then their radical liberals. But Republicans have some fractioning in the GOP as well. What do you see for the future of the party? Because we have a lot of America First candidates that are in office and running that are on board with your principles and your policy, right? Mostly. And then you got some of the old guard, and then you got a couple never Trumpers and never America First folks.
Rhinos.
Yes. What do we see?
By the way, never America First folks. Is that a thing? Is that something? Is that a phrase they use? It's a little clunky. Beyond, and it's fucking stupid. Look at that, 1.4. Hey, welcome everybody. Don't forget to like and subscribe, give a thumbs up, share the show. Apparently it's working. Hi, how you doing? And yes, I do this long form. We got one more segment of this. It's shorter than the rest, I think, but there you go.
How do we get that party together for 22? How do we get them?
Well, that's it. Yeah, what'll bring them together? Nothing, fucko. This guy's miserable. He can't wait for this. First of all, this interview's like dragging ass. But he doesn't give a shit about anybody but himself. Trump doesn't give a fuck if the entire Republican Party goes down in flames in 2022. He's sort of counting on it. He wants it to be that way. He literally, like, well, I'll show you, like there's some sort of X, right?
President Trump will answer that question about...
Well, he ends it by going, I lost? I don't think so. And he says, I don't think so, under his breath.
...of the GOP. We come right back in 2 minutes.
Oh, sorry. Hold on. Wrong video. There we go.
Minutes of our face-to-face with 45. It seems to be a little fractioned off. I think the Democrats are more fractioned than Republicans as far as their old school, like a Joe Manchin, their new...
No. Passed the largest... rescue package in the nation's history, largest infrastructure bill in 30 years, only one of merit. There wasn't like patchwork little things. Infrastructure, and we got out of Afghanistan. 3 biggies already. 70% vaccinated in the country. Schools open. You can go to church. You didn't realize that, right? You can still go to church. I mean, some churches are like, go easy, wear a mask. We're worried because a lot of our folks are old. But most of them are vaxxed now, and they still go to church. Right? Churches are back open. Trump's not, now granted, I've seen Biden go to church multiple times this year. I have never, the way we saw him talk to Pastor Jeffries when he's never gone to church where he didn't speak. Unless it's basically a campaign event, he won't set foot in the fucking place. He went Pastor Jeffries' place, and he stood outside the burned out church holding the Bible and going, "Is that your Bible?" And he goes, "It's a Bible."
Progressive, and then they're radical liberals. But Republicans have some fractioning in the GOP as well. What do you see for the future of the party? Because we have a lot of America First candidates that are in office.
Yeah, she's number one with a rocket. By the way, she don't waste a single fucking dime trying to not get her elected. She does more, besides, phoning in an insurrection from inside the House and the security risk that she is. Besides that, she's completely useless from a legislative standpoint. She's not crafting bills. Even her attempt to impeach Biden didn't have a co-sponsor, couldn't go anywhere, it was written like shit. This is not somebody who's going to come up, maybe if she's in for 10, 15 years and she finally settles down and starts doing a job, but she's just there to QAnon. So have at it. If the Republicans aren't going to separate themselves from somebody like her, then if they want to, brand themselves with MTG, knock yourself out.
That are on board with your principles and your policy, right? Mostly. And then you got some of the old guard, and then you got a couple never Trumpers and never America First folks.
Rhinos.
Yes. What do we see, and how do we get that party together?
Yes. Please tell us. Please attack rhinos, and then say something nice about Jim Jordan, and then go back to attacking rhinos, and then say the election was rigged. Because that's pretty much how it's going to go.
22.
I think we have some bad leadership. Mitch McConnell, it's time for him to get out. Never a fan, always supported him, but never a fan of this guy. He's a gift to the...
Really? You're not a fan? As human turtle hybrids go, it's like the world's saddest Disney cartoon star years after. Just you're not a fan? You're not a fan of melted ice cream?
He cost us 2 seats in Georgia. You look at what he did in Georgia with the $600.
Oh, did he? Oh, wait. Sorry. He cost us this. Not you telling everyone not to vote. Fuck it. Thanks, Amy. Yes, it's Mitch McConnell's fault that you told everyone why bother voting. It's not gonna count anyways. And they also literally the definitive difference was the fact that his folks stayed home. That was it. That was the margin. They fucked it up. Guaranteed it.
2,000 versus 600. I'm not saying you have to play that game, but you can't win. They're gonna have to love you a lot.
By the way, he's talking about the stimulus check that he didn't want to do a full 2,000. He wanted to do $600, and that was the negotiation. And that it was that he was like, you got to pay off the voters, otherwise they're not going to elect you. Why not? It's largely a conservative state. What is it about the voters that you just think they can all be bought in that regard? You don't think there's a case to be made? You don't think you can make that case? Well, then don't fucking make it. And he's not, he has no control over that. That was up to the voters. Put whichever. He's saying 600. The other people are saying 2,000. They're like, no, we're going with these folks. And largely because of how fucked the voting was and how they're trying to mess with the vote in Georgia. That had more of an impact than the stimulus check did.
To take far less money when they were handing out all this money. But that was the only commercial virtually that they ran. you got to change Mitch McConnell. He's going to be a huge drawback for the Senate. And also, we have, and I have to say this, we have great people also. When I got impeached, I had in the House, I believe it was 196 Republicans.
Yeah, this is the same shit we heard in the last interview, too. Name somebody that isn't Jim Jordan and Marjorie Taylor Greene. I don't even know that he name drops MTG. Everybody else does.
100% voted for Trump. 100% against the scam. And other than Romney...
Jesus, sniff more.
Lost half a vote, which, Romney is Romney. He'll never be any good. There'll never be a good Romney, okay? He's bad news. But even Romney, it was a half a vote, right? But I got almost everybody to vote in my favor. That was very interesting because the Democrats have two things. They're horrible on policy, but they stick together. I mean, their policy, what is their policy?
Together, they're good at messaging, projecting, and they got the media in their back.
By the way, listen to the description of Democrats by Trump and Danny Balls here. Think about this for a second. Think about how Democrats talk about Democrats most of the time. And now think about how they're talking about it. Democrats stick together. They're great on messaging. And they're ruthless. Huh? Since fucking when? And also, this is, this is also the idea that people say about Republicans. Well, they sure are good at messaging. Democrats are just no good at messaging. We're just not. Yeah. And meanwhile, they're like, the problem with the Democrats is they really got their messaging down. Like, who the fuck? Do both sides just concede this ground and act like the other side has some sort of masterful control of the messaging? As if there is an actual clean message for a lot of the more complicated problems. Maybe that's part of the problem, kids. Maybe that you're looking for a simple message that gets across something that's enormously complex and has a lot of moving parts. Other than, this is enormously complex and has a lot of moving parts, and I feel competent to guide this thing. More so than my bumper sticker opponent over here who thinks that America first will be enough.
And they have the media in their back pocket. Yeah. But what is their policy?
Yes. Oh, that's, by the way, Democrats can't control anything, can't win anything. Snowflakes aren't capable of anything. But we do have control of the media, big tech, corporations, and the U.S. government. All three branches, apparently, even though there are more conservatives, because Roberts hasn't gone their way on a couple of things, that's Democrats having massive control over the, how the fuck? What is he sniffing besides Adderall and benzodiazepines?
Borders, no voter ID, sanctuary cities, take away your Second Amendment.
By the way, no one's asking, again, Biden ran on buy a shotgun. You don't need a machine gun for self-defense, and if you do, you're probably shooting cops, so fuck you. We have a civilized society. You should be able to handle it with a handgun or a shotgun. If you need 60 rounds to fend off someone, more than likely they're probably serving a warrant because you're a drug dealer or a human trafficker, so fuck you. The tree of liberty's gotta be flurpin' derp. I have to be able to walk around with a fully loaded AR-15 with 2 clips duct taped together for fast reloading in case I decide to empty, just mag dump on somebody. I can just flip that fucker over, rack it to back and bing, bing, bing. Oh, yes, right, and we can rig elections. I forgot. We can rig elections. We have control of tech. We run the media. Hollywood. We have all the corporations, and yet somehow we can't handle Xi Jinping. I don't know what the fuck. So, all right. Meanwhile, this guy did nothing but kiss Xi Jinping's ass, even into the time he thought the guy had attacked us with a bioweapon. Fucking hell. But anyway, because we want to take your Second Amendment away because we think open carry, while legal, is fucking dumb. It's dangerous. And it allows psychopaths who do want to kill a bunch of kids to walk right up to the mall, right up to the school, right up to the building, because nobody can bother them, because open carry, if you bug any of these fuckers, then we're into militias, painting bullseyes on cops like the fucking Bundy clan. Can you legally in this country carry an AR-15 right now around your waist and walk around with a full clip? Yes, you can. Is it stupid? Yes. It's fucking dumb. Because we don't check papers, for example. Let me use language these assholes might understand. We don't check papers in this country. I don't know if you're an American or not until we start talking. And as a police officer, you're like, okay, there's a guy walking down the street. He's wearing an American flag on his sleeve, but that doesn't mean he's an American. But he's got a bunch of fucking magazines on his belt, and he's got one on this, and he's walking straight towards the school. And I can't even walk up to him and ask him where the fuck he's going and why without a rally starting around the fucking Capitol building that might end up getting our governor killed for nothing. And because of that, because we can walk freely, unless you want to get rid of that, unless your argument is we need to get rid of it, cops need to be able to walk up and say papers, please, to anybody. In which case, then, if you're carrying a gun, we can just go, papers, please. Where are you going? Oh, this guy, this is my ID and stuff. I live over here. What? Okay, why are you walking around with a fucking gun like this? Because I can. You do realize it's a dangerous and deadly weapon. We got this covered. We're the fucking cops. We'll deal with this stuff, right? We don't need you mistaking what's going on. We know, for example, like who's undercover and who's not. And you don't. We don't need you shooting a shoplifter and lighting up every house across the fucking street because you think it's suddenly your job when it ain't. Go the fuck home.
We're going to take away your Second Amendment, so you can't have a gun, you can't protect yourself, and at the same time...
And by the way, and again, just because we think open carry's fucking dumb and weak and foolish and sets up a situation where dangerous people can get closer to their target before opening fire and going out in a hail of bullets and, checking out by cop. And all thanks to you fuckers, we can't even, we set up a whole thing in this town where, if you're walking around and they give you shit, we storm the fucking, Capitol building or the courthouse steps and gack up the whole fucking downtown for days on end with assholes that are armed to the teeth for no fucking reason. So this asshole can just walk. What's the purpose? So people like that can just walk up and what are you going to do? Shoot them after they've already shot 15 people? After you waved at them, hey, nice AR-15. The fuck? Grow up. Get on with life. Meanwhile, Biden's like, if you can't hit it with 9 shots or you don't trust your aim, get a shotgun for home defense. But for fuck's sake. And again, you can have those things, but what are you doing? And all this Tree of Liberty bullshit just means to the rest of us, we all know that you just want to kill cops and first responders and soldiers at some point. Oh, thanks, Lulu.
Defund the police. Let's get rid of the police, okay?
And you have
they have really...
And Biden ran against defund the police. Specifically. He literally was like, protesting is one thing, but rioting and looting are criminal and you should go to fucking jail. My spicy language, his feeling.
Horrible policy. And frankly, if they didn't, you wouldn't.
Yes, by the way, a horrible policy, allegedly, perhaps, but none of them were Biden's. I don't know who the fuck this idiot thought he was running against. Maybe that was part of your problem. Maybe that's why you fucking lost. Maybe that's part of, besides the fact that Trump's a loser and will always be a loser and has always been a loser, was born on fucking third base and thought he hit a triple, took his dad's company, which actually built buildings, turned it into a branding company, lost more money in 1 year lost more money in the history of the New York real estate market. In the same year, he wrote Art of the Deal. The fucking set designer on The Apprentice went, this dude's office looks like shit. It's run down. They're on their last legs. They had to buy him furniture to make him look rich. Dude is broke. He's a fucking loser. But one of the reasons why he was a loser in this election is because I don't know who the fuck he thought he was running against. Right? At what point is any of this what Biden was running on? Seriously. Oy.
Republican Party right now, they have the dumbest policy that it's not even thinkable. So,
well, that's kind of true.
Great Republicans.
I know 1.3 in the chat. I think we can hit 1.4. But you got to share the show and tell people about it and all that kind of stuff. We'll do it. We're growing naturally. It's organic. I love it. Our show's growing with like oats and vitamin C.
Unbelievable people in the Republican Party. You don't get to speak about that much, but I deal with them, and they're really good people, and they work hard, and they want to make America great again.
Who?
That's what they want, and
Who?
we have plenty of them.
What? First of all, who are they if you can't talk about them? Because it's like the same 9 fuckers. Nunez just stepped down to run his social media thing and has been calling people going, how do you run a social media network? Like, oh my God, the best people. Who the fuck hires Devin Nunes, a dairy farmer, allegedly, who's been in Congress for a few years, to run their social media and, their media empire, because I guess it's going to be a channel too. It's the Trump Media Group or whatever. Who hires somebody like Devin Nunes to do that? I'm dead serious. Like, you can't find somebody who used to work at fucking Fox News? Call Bill O'Reilly. He's got to know somebody. Jesus Christ. How can you say the best people when you literally tap Devin Nunes to run your media group? I don't give a fuck if he's on, unless he's just got so much compromise on you. Lord.
Be running, and I know you can't announce it with rules and whatever with the election.
Yeah, whatever without the... I know you can't tell me because you'll have to stop taking money from your super PAC, and you can't afford to do that because the minute you stop taking money from your super PAC, all your properties will go into probate.
Process and the campaign financing and all that, but that's probably one of the biggest questions we had too. Will you be running?
Well, they do ask the question. I've given this answer so many times. I'll be announcing it fairly soon, and okay. I think people are going to be very happy with my answer. Our country is going to hell.
It is, Mr.
All right, well that's how he's going to run it. Trump, JFK Jr. Our country is going to hell. Elect me to make sure.
Final question is, I hear you got a new book.
I do.
Right? Our journey.
Oh, God. Yeah, the only reason he agreed to do this bullshit is to sell this stupid picture book, and if he can't sell copies of it... Again, you notice all these rooms they're filming in Mar-a-Lago are conspicuously empty? A former president owns 2 golf courses with, like, big boardrooms, big ballrooms in them, and they're always fucking empty.
I do. It's a wonderful book, and it's pictures, and I did it because somebody...
It's a wonderful book, and it's pictures. It got pictures. Oh my God, the pictures. Hold on. Does it have pictures? I'm on the picture book. A picture book for me and you. It's a book called A Journey Together, where we do the thing we do. Happy book show. Eat a book and have a big book. Yay.
Said, please, we want some pictures. They want anything from the past 4 years. They love.
Yeah, that's what I want. They got the pictures and one have crayon book and the coloring book and the book and the picture. pick the book. They want anything. They just want to take the book and put it on the face and lay in the backyard and pretend it's 4 years ago. Oh, remember when it was all getting started and it was 2017 and happy before anything started happening? When they're like, yay, we won this. Oh, I'll buy the book. What's in the book? Oh, these are just pictures from his Instagram. What a cheap pile of garbage.
Even though I had all these phony witch hunts and all of the phony investigations would still...
I hope they caught the phony witches, because it's terrible when fake witches running around.
They continue forever. The Russia hoax, it turned out to be a hoax by them. Think of how bad somebody is. They create a false hoax. It's actually a true hoax.
Yeah, that's a good point. A false hoax would be true, so a true hoax would be false. This is dumber than me. Oh my gosh, what is he saying? We don't know. What a bunch of poo-poo.
They continue forever. The Russia hoax, it turned out to be a hoax by them. Think of how bad somebody is. They create a false hoax. It's actually a true hoax, I guess, if you think about it, right? But they create this false narrative, right? And they make up the story about Russia. And people come up to me, Russia. But they create a false narrative. They know it's false.
Right.
And then a guy like Shifty Schiff gets up, Watermelon Head. He gets up to the microphone and he said, Donald Trump.
Daddy, you had somebody laugh about that on the side. Watermelon Head. He looked like Andy Kaufman. I don't know if you know, but Adam Schiff looked like my grandma used to watch a show called Taxi, and the character Adam Schiff looked like this guy. Hold on, Adam Schiff kind of looked like him. That's why it made me happy. Thank you very much. He did say that. That's so fun. So the Laca Gravis, and then Adam Schiff. I don't want to misspell that, get in trouble. Adam Schiff, there they go. And then the guy, and then hold on. And there he is. And I'm just saying, I have never seen Tony Clifton and Adam Schiff in the same place at the same time.
Junior should go.
If you believe Adam Schiff on the moon, Adam Schiff on the moon. If you believe they put some Schiff on the moon, Schiff on the moon.
Jail because of Russia. So he knows the story's a hoax, but he wants my son to go to jail. These are sick people.
And Hunter's out selling paintings for $500,000.
Yeah, well, it's very good. It's very good. And right now, Eric is taking painting lessons.
How's everybody doing? How's the family? How's
the family's good.
Don, Eric, everybody's well?
Good, working hard. I think things are going well, other than the country. I mean,
I think things are going well. He's asking him how his family is. I think they're going. I don't talk to him. I don't know these. Who? How's Eric? Who? Trump. Your son? Oh, that guy. Right. Yeah. I don't know. I guess he's good. Listen to this shit. Honest to God. How's your family? Watch the answer.
Don, Eric, everybody's well?
Good, working hard. I think things are going well, other than the country. I mean, the country's going horribly. Now, I would rather, because maybe we should leave on this one.
Okay.
I would love to see Biden do a great.
He's been trying to get out. Yeah, I'd love to see him do a great job.
I'd love to see energy independence. I'd love to see everything. Our country is going down the tubes at a level that nobody can believe, and it's going fast. And the whole world disrespects us. They laugh at us. Putin, Xi, Kim Jong-un, they're all the Iranian leaders when they...
Yeah, they're all laughing at us, are they? They're all laughing at us? Hang on one second. Let's check in, shall we? Should we check in? Let's see. Whoops, hold on. That's not Russia. Yes. Oops. Uh, hmm. Ukraine, Russia. Today's let's see the latest. There's a bunch of shit. U.S. sanctions North Koreans citing ballistic missile tests. Oh, that's rough. I thought he's too busy laughing. All right. NATO Russia talks at impasse amid real risk of Ukraine war. Aramco gains footing in Russia's backyard with Polish oil deal. Oh, that's rough for Russia, but I'm sure he's laughing it off right now. NATO Russia hold talks of fears against security. We've seen this stuff a bunch of times. Russia China block UN support for ECOWAS sanctions on Mali. Yawn. Moscow NATO ties approaching moment of truth. Russian official. U.S. and Russia still at odds over talks after talks over Ukraine tensions. U.S. Russian officials meet in Geneva as Ukraine tensions mount. War games missile deployment on table. In Russia talks U.S. What will Russia gain from intervening in Kazakhstan? Oh yeah, that's the other thing too. Is that they're having to send paratroopers into Kazakhstan of all places. And they're doing great. This is exactly what he wanted to be doing. Sending troops in the fucking snow to Kazakhstan. Yeah. But I'm sure, he's laughing. Let's see. Xi Jinping. Let's see how, how is Xi Jinping doing? Oops. There you go. Xi Jinping. There we go. News. Let's just check some news on this. Let's see. I'll just go. Let's see. China economy. Maybe that'll give us a piece of the news there. Here you go. Here's where he's laughing. Goldman cuts China's GDP target for 2022, and exports aren't the problem. Xi Jinping has been taking on China's capitalists. Here's why that will change in 2022. Xi Jinping doesn't know what to do after popping a real estate bubble. Amazon silenced criticism of Xi to do business in China. That's terrible. Don't do that. Thank you, Al Jazeera, for reporting on that. 2022 will be a big year for Xi Jinping, but he must fix China's economic slide. I'm sure he's laughing through the whole slide. You know what I mean? Here you go, Wall Street Journal. The slow meltdown of the Chinese economy. Let's see. China's inflation eases the U.S. prices rise. What that means for investors. China's long-term economic direction. How China will change under common prosperity. China's year of living less dangerously. Xi Jinping is set to extend his 10-year rule in 2022. This is how China's transformed under his reign. We'll see. China's big idea, stable economy, crucial political issue in 2022. China's property slump shows signs of improving. What it means for investors. China will exhaust all means to lure global talent. So kidnapping isn't out of the question, I guess, is right there. After a year of crackdowns, investors welcome Beijing's new focus on stability. You think? China economy, the fallout of the Evergrande crisis. Uncertainty ahead for Xi's China. Xi Jinping's leadership. Micromanagement that leaves underlings scrambling. Rural migrants are denied rights in Chinese cities. Can Xi fix the problem? Is China's power peaking? And other top national security questions for 2022. Chinese Premier Li Keqiang urges more tax cuts to boost China. So Omicron puts China's zero COVID strategy to its toughest test. Scholz tells Xi he wants to deepen economic ties as a German chancellor, the new guy, with China. China's history explains its zero COVID strategies. By the way, while we're dislodging from Europe on an economic level as well, in terms of the EU in general. So I'm sure Xi is having a great time right now. Let's see. What's the best? Look at a moment. Since we're going over tonight anyways, what the fuck? Let's try and find something that's... Here, like this, downside risk to China's growth outlook is small. Wang. China's interest in Kazakhstan is mostly economic in nature, says strategist. China's growth may slow to 4.7% in 2022, which is great for us because we're a little country. When you have that many fucking people, that's not nearly enough to keep up with the humans that you have in your country. Is China headed for an economic crisis? Yeah. Sri Lanka's debt to China adds to economic crisis. China's economy, what's its weak spot? China's economy stumbles on Evergrande debt, energy shortages. Outlook for China's economy in 2022. China's economy weakens as consumers turn wary. What China's economic slowdown means for global investors. Making sense of China's economy. China became between common prosperity and economic crisis. China's economy suffers major setbacks. And by the way, Dalio, he's like a hedge fund manager, and he's had like 1.2% yield on his hedge fund over the years or some shit. Like, why does anybody think, like, I don't know. I guess having money is enough for people to listen to you. Triple-digit oil in orders for second quarter. Okay. Economic entanglement, systemic rivalry, Germany and China at a crossroads. Could Evergrande collapse, topple China's economy? That's 3 months ago. China's economy is slowing more than people think, Miller. China's Q3 GDP weaker than expected, grows its slowest pace in the year, which is bad because it was already down. Is China's economy stumbling in the dark? China's economy slows as property slump deepens 4 weeks ago. Evergrande crisis, energy shortage, the end of China's rapid economic growth. I mean, fucking come on. Is China's economic model broken? I'm sure every day that Xi Jinping wakes up laughing and laughing and laughing about Biden and the fact that it used to economically, at the beginning of last year, the common wisdom was that China's economy would overtake ours in 2024. Now, after the year that we've had, they are projecting to overtake us in 2030, if ever. It has been pushed at least out to 2030. And that's if they go back to some sort of like Deng Xiaoping openness, which they're not going to do.
That way, if we had a president, they wouldn't be talking that way. When they say that, that's a disgrace. But that's because we have a man.
They think they know he can't stand you. So because of how things work in that part of the world, they think they can curry favor with him by shit-talking you and Pompeo. And they don't like you anyways. You fucked up the deal. They had a deal. It was going well. And you fucked it up. You fucked it up.
And we have a country that's no longer respected.
He can't be pulling the strings, though, Mr. President. You think?
I don't want to get into that.
Mental fog.
Certainly, it's an unusual situation. We've never had anything like this.
Why do you want to give all this up and go back into politics?
Well, it is a nice.
Why'd you do it in the first place?
Because I love the people.
Every guy in the world.
I know, but I love this country, and the country. We're going to make it great again. It's going to be make America great again.
Yeah.
Okay, because we made.
Oh, my God.
Great. We had the greatest economy. We had the strongest borders we've ever had. We had the lowest taxes we've ever. Now they want to double your taxes.
No, we didn't.
Triple your taxes.
Quadruple your taxes. 5x your taxes. Trintuple your taxes.
You know,
just
they want to pay for all this stuff by raising everybody's taxes.
Oh, yeah.
And the stuff they're paying for
sir.
is bad.
I know.
You know very well.
Yeah, 47%.
You know very well.
Final words to every American, not just Trump supporters, a word of encouragement. Because people are hurting, and they're struggling.
Our country.
Yeah, they're struggling, and they're afraid. And, you just told them our country is going to hell. Even though we got 3.9% unemployment, a lot of people have left the job market because they don't have to work, because their partner is making enough where they can stay home and raise the kids, be they male or female. It doesn't quite matter. There's lots of opportunities where people are like, hey, you can work and I'll stay home and I'll have a little thing on the side or something. Start a little Etsy store maybe. See if that grows into something. But I don't need a regular job. And I'll be with the kids. You know, nuclear family, all the family values, all that shit that they like. No. People need to be grinding. And as soon as your kid hits 16, they need a summer job. Otherwise, they won't have any character. They'll grow up shitty. What do you want them to do? Stay home and study?
Is in big trouble, but it's going to come back. We're going to bring it back. We're going to keep fighting. We're going to bring it back. It's going to take a while. What they've done, the damage that they've done is incalculable. I mean, it's not believable that they could have done this.
Incalculable. And it isn't, the damage is unbelievable, largely because it's not believable.
The damage, and they have really 10 more months to just go wild with the filibuster and then rush things through. And they're going to try and do it. And Mitch McConnell has to be a lot tougher than he has been on them. You know, he's tougher on Republicans than he is on Democrats. He's a gift to the Democrats. Yeah. I'm telling you, the 2-month extension he gave on the debt ceiling and other things was
a fuck, we're in a loop again.
Disaster. It allowed them to get their act together, and then they went and they passed this ridiculous infrastructure bill that was a victory for them, a loss for us, but very bad for the country because it's not infrastructure for the most part.
Yeah, I thank you so much.
For the most part, what's in it? What bugs you about it? What part of it don't you like? Because anybody in your position would have some awareness of what was actually in the bill if they were going to criticize it, and would go, it's only 9% this. I mean, they have a thing in there where yada, yada, yada. You'd pull something out of it, and you'd go, this is too much. This shouldn't be in there. And people go, well, that was a compromise to get the other stuff, but this is definitely necessary. That we had to grease the wheels with some of these folks to get them on board.
Thank you very much.
I know you're a busy man.
Thank you very much, Dan. Appreciate it.
And again, I would like to thank President Donald J. Trump and the entire
former president. Boring. Also boring. And the same shit over and over again. And there's no way he's fucking running. And if he even announcing is going to cost him so much fucking money that he's going to be, I've decided not to run. My doctor told me I can't. Or some shit. I can't run. My doctor told me, not that there's anything wrong with me. It's that it's your kids, Marty. What, they become assholes or something? Yeah. I don't know why Don Jr. is in a parking garage. I can't believe it's true. Michael Jackson is alive. I don't know if this is supposed to be cute. At this point with the QAnon folks and JFK and all that shit, I don't know quite where this goes. But, hey, the one upside to this is he's recording this in a parking garage, and maybe he won't be looking at notes. Now, there's going to be an ad at the top of this, isn't there? Yeah. Bitcoin is breaking the 4 rules of crypto investing. Here's why. You mean it's taking a shit? All right.
Okay, guys, this is really big news. I just got off an airplane. I saw this clip. Lost Wi-Fi service.
An aeroplane? What are you, the Red Hot Chili Peppers? You mean an airplane?
We were landing, and I had to address it immediately because I can't believe we didn't figure this out till now. But just now on Tucker Carlson, I saw what appears to be real video evidence that Michael Jackson is actually still alive. Michael Jackson. They told us that he died like 12 years ago. Now, I just saw video evidence that looks irrefutable. I mean, it looks exactly like him. And for the record, I knew Michael Jackson. Like, Michael Jackson was our neighbor in Trump Tower. I used to play Nintendo with Michael Jackson. So this looks
That just makes so much sense. I think so many answers have just gotten that there's a level of clarity that I'm having. What the hell? Okay, let me guess, he's gonna show somebody and they look like Michael Jackson because they look like a wreck or whatever, or we'll see who he's gonna show, but whatever.
Exactly like it. And it appears that Tucker Carlson was able to find Michael Jackson, who appeared live on Face the Nation this weekend. Again, it could be a deep fake.
This is a joke, by the way. He's going to show somebody and they're like he's making a joke that person, whoever, looks awful or something like that. Like, I don't know if it'll be Maxine Waters, something like that. It's that kind of a joke.
It could be someone that incredibly closely resembles Michael Jackson, but check it out and see for yourself. Because to me, it's a no-brainer. And again, I knew the guy.
Well, that's right up your alley then. If you want a one-stop shop for no-brainers, it's Don Jr.
I'm gonna wait to get in my car to get home to talk about it. That's how crazy it is. It's so close. The likeness is uncanny. Check out what Tucker Carlson was able to discover, and I'm glad we have people like him doing journalism, finding these sorts of things so we can call it out. Michael, if that's you, I hope you're doing well, man. I hope you're doing well.
So yesterday was Sunday. You may have found yourself on the couch, idly flipping around the TV dial, and if you flipped far enough, you could have had the shock of your life. Michael Jackson was on Face the Nation. Now, to be clear, this wasn't video of Michael Jackson performing his hit songs of the 1990s. This...
Oh, God. It's just somebody named Michael Jackson. What the fuck? Who cares? Get over yourself. Oh, this is the... Okay, so it's Nancy Pelosi with because of her eyebrows. That's a... I see. This is the gag. Yeah. So it was Nancy.
I'll only show you what we saw. Here it is.
It's just a labored joke.
There's nothing more important for us to do than protect our Constitution and our democracy. What the Republicans are doing across the country is really a legislative continuation of what they did on January 6th, which is to undermine our democracy.
See? Michael Jackson. That was him. No Billie Jean. Apparently he's given up singing. Now he's telling lies about politics. Same man. If you've ever seen Michael Jackson, you cannot forget the face. So admit.
Oh, God. Really? That whole fucking thing? Ugh, what a bunt. I mean... there are a dozen jokes you can make about older ladies and they're painted on eyebrows. This is the weakest one I've ever seen. I guess that the Waylon Flowers and Madam, nobody knows that reference. That's why they're worried. All right, this is just so stupid. Oh God, who cares? All right, so that we did that part. Now. I know I went over, but we have to cover this one because I wanted to get into it, and it was too long last night, and I got to throw it in. I just have to, because I don't have a morning show tomorrow, so I can add a little time on tonight, and I apologize. This is one of the most amazing, like the inability to have any kind of introspection. Is stunning, especially when it comes to Greg Kelly. Greg Kelly, boy, do they love talking about Trump. Greg Kelly reports on Newsmax. I'm glad, by the way, that they put this part on. Probably part of his contract. We're not going to give you more money, but we will put Greg Kelly reports on Newsmax on all of the videos we post on YouTube. Okay, as long as Trump calls into my show. Yeah. So boy, do they love talking about Trump. Donna Brazile on ABC this week to talk about Trump, probably about the January 6th thing. We'll see.
I've been upfront about it. I want Donald Trump to come back. I'd love to see him as president again.
Yes, Greg. We all know you're dumb.
I thought we'd have to wait until at least the midterms closer to or 2024 before we really saw him out.
No. I mean, he's desperate for money. He can't afford to stay out of the limelight for even a second. Otherwise, he'll be selling his properties, and he can't run while his property's in probate. Now, they probably will already, and he's also got to push back against the legal problems that he's having. So being out and about really helps, to create this narrative that he can somehow shake these legal issues, which he can't.
No, just turn on the fake news any day, especially on Sundays when they have their big political talk shows. And boy, do they love to talk about Trump. They love.
Well, that was the week of January 6th. And those are culmination shows. Those aren't nightly. Most of the time, they don't give a fuck unless he pops himself up and says something as a former president. You know, in this country, we do take our former presidents seriously. And I agree with you, Greg. In the case of Trump, it's probably not a good idea and not necessary and a complete waste of time. And if there's a singularly more forgettable president than Donald Trump, I can't think of one. When was he president? That was like 2006. When the fuck did that happen? It's been so long.
To hate him, and they're really frustrated right now because January 6th, all the hype about January 6th did not do what they intended it to do, which would be cancel Donald Trump. They wanted this to stigmatize the former president so bad, and they're actually openly marveling that their plan didn't work.
I'm a pretty cynical guy. I've been doing this a long time. On January 7th, 2021, I think I'm guessing you were there too. I really thought, okay, this is it. This is the breaking point. Lindsey Graham, enough is enough. Count me out. It all felt like a moment. How did a year later we go to a Republican Party that is more in the grips of Donald Trump?
Because we love the guy and we trust him. And you guys, the fake news, have been lying to us for decades.
By the way,
right?
Greg, Greg, the reason is because you have no one else and you have daddy issues. Greg, you can't quit Trump. This is Dirtback Mountain, buddy. There's no way you could get rid of Trump. Who else? Who's gonna fill daddy's shoes? Can't happen. See, while the rest of us are looking for a president, you're looking for a papa. Someone, papa, please tell me I'm worthwhile. Tell me I have meaning.
Gone into overdrive recently. We like Donald Trump, all right? Get that through your heads. We know him.
No, we know you like him. We just use that because we could give two shits about him. We just use that as an indicator of whether or not you have any ethics or morals or actually care about the country, because you would rather have him president than the country succeed. That's just clear. And Kelly in particular has been shitting on the Capitol cops and our own soldiers since they turned on Trump and didn't do his bidding.
We saw him do what he promised he would, fighting for us. That wasn't some silly bumper sticker. We saw him.
Yeah, it was. The wall didn't do shit. What was all the clamoring about NATO? It did nothing. It emboldened Russia. What about getting out of the Iran deal? All it did was create more opportunities for them to share technology and stuff with North Korea and other countries.
Do it every single day. So they can't stop.
When he wasn't golfing, which is, obviously only about 27% of the time he was president.
Trump. They're trying to stop us. And you know how you do that these days? Call anybody a racist, and you're supposed to be canceled forever. All right? So they're taking racism and white supremacy.
Well, you can't just call somebody racist. You do have to have a reason for it. You have to show their racism as part of it. It doesn't work as a catch-all. Otherwise, it waters down the term, quite frankly.
To the next level. By the way, both are bad, but both are not particularly significant, in my opinion. And actually...
Really, Greg, you don't experience a lot of racism? Good to know, buddy. I'm glad. It's a terrible thing to have to experience, and if one person can avoid it.
Regarding white supremacy, according to the FBI. Anyway, look at the new legislation they've been pushing. It sounds great, all right? HR
350.
350, and what would it do? To authorize dedicated domestic terrorism offices within the Department of Homeland Security, the Department of Justice, and the Federal Bureau of Investigation. Great. I hate domestic terrorism. But how do they define domestic terrorism? Oh, yeah. It's all about...
To analyze and combat white supremacy and neo-Nazi infiltration.
Supremacists and...
Hold on. Let's look at, hold on. Let's, HR 350, bill, and this is, obviously, DHS, let's see, here you go. Domestic Terrorism Prevention Act of 2021. Here we go. All actions. Let's see. Get alerts. It's been introduced. Got a ways to go. There's the text. All right. There's the text available, and these give me the PDF, baby. Come on, whip it out. There you go. I'm going to authorize domestic terrorism. Okay, prevent. To authorize dedicated domestic terrorism, okay, within the act will cite domestic terrorism. In this act, term director will have the director, and they're going to foreign persons, individual organization, domestic terrorism executive committee, who's going to, all the defining, like who works it, who does it. Offices to combat domestic terrorism unit, authorize domestic terrorism unit in the Office of Intelligence and Analysis, the Department of Defense, okay, Homeland Security, but shall be headed by staffing, there you go. Require all employees to undergo an annual anti-bias training so that they don't have bias towards white people like Greg Kelly. Because if you spend a lot of time watching Greg Kelly, you might get the impression that all white people are stupid, and that'll affect how you how you treat them when you're investigating their stockpiling of weapons and their death threats towards elected officials. And you don't want that to happen. That's just not a good thing. Subsequent report, quantitative analysis, term related is assessment, including the number of assessments from each classification, in a subcategory for those related. Okay, domestic terrorism related preliminary investigations initiated. Domestic terrorism related full investigations will also be in the thing. Domestic incidents, including the number of incidents from each classification, subcategory. What do you mean classification, subcategory? It's white people, white violence against everybody else. That's it. Yeah, okay. Or subcategory for those related to white supremacy, supremacism, the number of deaths and injuries related to the thing. Federal domestic terrorism related arrests, including the number of arrests in classification subcategory for specified subcategory related to white supremacism, details thing. Federal domestic terrorism related incidents, subcategory related to white supremacists. Federal domestic terrorism prosecutions, including the number of things. Okay, there's the white supremacists. Domestic terrorism convictions, including the number of convictions, classification subcategory. For those related to white supremacy, a detailed explanation of those of each conviction. Federal, this is one section about okay, hate crimes. In compiling a joint report under the subsection domestic terrorism, officers authorized under paragraph constitute the Civil Rights Division of the Department of Justice to go look into the thing. Classification, public release. Each report submitted to everything. Unclassified, the great extent, but classified. Okay, who? Hold on one second. Mr. Schneider for himself, Mr. Nadler, Fitzpatrick, Kelly of Illinois, Bacon, Vincent Gonzalez, Texas, Upton, and Mr. Correa. Introduced the following bills referred to the committee by the judiciary. Subsequently. Okay, I'm going to scroll through here. Oh, here we go. Right. Okay. With a specific classification or subcategory for those related to white supremacism and a detailed explanation of each prosecution. So this is all of the subcategories with a specific classification subcategory for those about white supremacism, because there isn't one. Now, let's look at the threats. Well, we'll let him continue. To analyze and combat white supremacists and neo-Nazi infiltration, an assessment of the domestic terrorism threat posed by white supremacists and neo-Nazis. As if they won't look at other ones? Okay.
Nazis, neo-Nazis, and white supremacists. White supremacists. Nothing in here about BLM. Nothing in here about Antifa. It's all about...
Well, first of all, BLM is not a terrorist organization. Antifa itself is already in its own category.
About white supremacists, and I'm sure there are a handful of those weirdos in this country, and if they break the
A handful? Yeah, there's like 5 of them.
They should be arrested right away. It's just not a thing.
No, they shouldn't. Only if they act in a violent way or inflict it on somebody else. Are you for thought crimes, Greg? You can't arrest somebody just for being a white supremacist. They got to do some illegal shit. I mean, it sounds lovely, but I find it strange that you're calling for such draconian, tyrannical, and dictatorial policies.
Right? So they keep inventing it.
Thanks,
they
Stephen.
keep lying about it. Even those Proud Boys, the Proud Boys is not a white supremacist group. All right? It's not. It is a fake.
Are they're not listed in the thing?
News lie that caught on. By the way, they can't explain Enrique Tarrio, the head of the Proud Boys, who's of Afro-Cuban descent. And oh, by the way, he's in jail right now. Why? Because he burned a Black Lives Matter sign. Can you believe that one?
Well, yeah, he arson and taking someone else. I mean, it wasn't, hey, it's not a target, but it counts.
All right, so somehow Enrique is a white supremacist. Let's see. Candace Owens is a white supremacist. Larry
Yeah, she's not going to be targeted by this. I mean, I'm enjoying the conflation.
Recently ran for governor in California, a white supremacist. And this one is actually
from GWN?
Particularly galling because I happen to know him and I happen to think he's a very decent guy. Tucker.
Oh, well, actually, then that explains. I mean, damning with faint praise and guilt by association being true things. I would have stopped at Larry Elder.
It is a white supremacist. It is now.
Well, his head writer was literally writing like white supremacist fanfic, essentially, on Reddit threads under an assumed name, and he knew it. And they didn't let go of the guy until they got caught. And you don't think he hired him specifically because of that?
A joke. Something horrible, something ugly. White supremacy is now a joke because they're accusing everybody they don't agree with of being a white supremacist.
According to the intelligence community, terrorism from white supremacy is the most lethal threat to the homeland today.
One of the greatest.
Yes. Right. Hold on. No. Yes. Domestic lethal threat to the homeland. The most lethal domestic threat. That's the biggest threat currently. I mean, we're not talking about Russian nukes or Chinese warplanes and stuff. That's a foreign issue. And I would think you'd be proud, Greg. Wouldn't you? And wouldn't the Proud Boys be glad to know that even though they're a minority in the country, white supremacists are the biggest domestic threat? Congratulations. Way to really put your shoulder to the wheel.
Threats to our national security is domestic terrorism manifested by white supremacists.
I obviously am very concerned about the rise of extremism and extremism related to white supremacy.
The FBI has warned repeatedly that domestic terrorism fueled by white supremacy is the #1 threat to the United States right now.
White supremacy is the biggest bucket of concern when it comes to domestic terrorism.
Yeah, of the Timothy McVeighs in the world, the white ones are the biggest concern.
Okay, that's not true. It's not true. Talk to the law enforcement experts, okay? Islamic extremists, they still want to hurt this country. They do.
Yeah, that they're the foreign problem. Domestic terrorism. This is hey, dum-dum. This is a bill to authorize dedicated domestic terrorism offices within the DHS, the Department of Justice, and the Federal Bureau of Investigation to analyze and monitor domestic terrorist activity and require the federal government to take steps to prevent domestic terrorism. Dumbass. ISIS is not a homegrown American problem, stupid.
Deny it. Antifa, BLM, they hurt this country every day for a year and a half. But they say white supremacy, especially...
Yeah, they blew a bunch of targets and firebombed a bunch of garbage cans and spray painted some shit. None of them attacked the Capitol, though.
Democrats win. They're in a jam. Now, here in New York, we have a new mayor. He's not up to the job, all right? I am not impressed with this guy. Anyway, he's making all kinds of...
Really? What is it about him that really bugs you, Greg? I mean, if you had to, if there was one thing about him that that upset you the most, if you had to narrow it down to a single feature?
Silly appointments, nepotism galore. He wants to make his brother the deputy commissioner of the police department. That's a big...
Dude, your dad was the commissioner, and he covered for your head. Hold on. That's the, let's see, Greg and Kelly. Hold on 1 second. Where's his dad? Hold on. Greg Kelly, dad. I'll just look that up. Yeah, Raymond Kelly. TV anchor. That's your... Not shy about being police leader's son. Yeah, it gives him kind of wiggle room to shit on police. Mr. Kelly's resemblance to his father has always been part of his professional persona. No wonder he likes Trump so much. We're both daddy's boys.
Stretch.
You need Al Pacino?
Listen to his...
Hold on 1 second. Yeah, you might need somebody to... let's see. Oh, I gotta cover this. We'll talk about this. All right. All right.
You've appointed your brother, a fellow retired police officer, as a deputy commissioner for the NYPD. Is that true? And if so...
Oh, I'm going to have your job, shithead.
Doesn't that at least violate the spirit of the law in New York, which says public servants, friends, and family members should not benefit from their positions?
My brother is qualified for the position. Number one, he will be in charge of my security.
Hey, that wasn't the question. Hey, not the question. Question. Dumbass. Huh? Yo. Moron. That wasn't the question. What was the question? The question was, why'd you put your father in the job?
Which is extremely important to me in a time when we see an increase in white supremacy and hate crimes. I have to take my security in a very serious way.
An increase in white supremacy. So I live in this city, all right? There is an increase in crime, all right? It's not coming from white supremacists, all right?
Oh, what? Look at his fucking face. What are you talking about? Look at his face. Look at his face. Oh, you mean black fellas, don't you? Say it. Say it, you coy little fucker.
It's just not. It happens to be coming from people of color, quite frankly. It's...
fucking hell.
It's undeniable. It's there, all right? Not white supremacy. So his brother is going to be the new deputy police commissioner.
Yeah, but, hey, purse snatchers aren't going to be killing the mayor, dumb fuck.
He's not qualified, of course. Take a look. Well, maybe he is. Maybe I'm being too harsh. He is...
No, you're not being harsh. You're being stupid, motherfucker. All right.
After all, just off a big job as the assistant director of parking for Virginia Commonwealth University, the Monroe campus. Handing out parking passes, arranging for the assistant...
Oh, you're saying just go with this, like just because somebody's dad was like in an elected position or an appointed position, like, the mayor or police commissioner, does not mean that they are automatically qualified. Is that what you're saying?
To park close to the building. All right, that was his job. But that's what you do. You claim white supremacy when you can't explain
Well, that's Adams's brother. He looks different than I thought.
or when you're in trouble politically, like Governor Murphy did in a recent debate when it was looking very bleak for him in terms of re-election. What did he do?
There's so much on the ballot. There's so much at stake. Do we stand with our sacred democracy, or do we stand with Confederate flags and white supremacists and a pack of lies? Do we stand? Do we continue? Do we continue to make the tough?
I wish we could hear that noise whenever the fake news started talking about white supremacy and that Trump support.
And the Trump supporters are the ones who brought a Confederate flag into the fucking nation's capital, which they did. Sorry, what member of BLM or Antifa brought a fucking Confederate flag, the pro-slavery naval jack, into the Capitol, you asshole?
Or somehow white supremacists, because that's how we feel. It's nonsense. It's a disgusting charge.
Well, Greg, again, I have a hard time believing that you look in the mirror and thinking you're superior. I think you have, like, brutally low self-esteem. And I think Trump appeals to that in you because he gives you kind of a ladder out of the hell that you feel in your soul. I don't think you see it as a point of supremacy on your part. That says nothing. Tell you what, Greg, let me just clear up something. Whenever supremacy, someone being supremely good at something or bigger or better or in an elevated stature on a societal level, anytime something even remotely close to that topic comes up, just for the record, we're not talking about you. No one is. When the rest of us are discussing supremacy, fuck, if we bring up the Supremes, I just understand you'll be tone deaf when any of the songs come on. There is no... Yeah, Greg is a generic Tucker. He's like the Fisher-Price Tucker. Yeah, if anytime supremacy comes up, we don't mean you. There's no one who would think you are supreme in any way. You're not part of that conversation. I don't want you to ever feel insulted when it comes up because you more than any other person, maybe even Trump. Again, when we're discussing, if I say orange supremacy, you might be onto something. But either of you, just consider yourself, this is a sidecar conversation. It's nothing to do with you.
You might even call it a false flag. False flag. Have you heard about this? A false flag.
Yes, we've heard about this. That's an action, by the way. This is the narrative is that, and I don't know if he's trying to squeak this in, that Antifa and the FBI and BLM, tricked Trump supporters into storming into the Capitol. They wouldn't have otherwise, and therefore.
Hostile or harmful action that is designed to look like it was perpetrated by someone other than the person or group responsible for it. I think there's something.
Oh, you mean like the Boogaloo Boys starting violence during the George Floyd protests in Minneapolis and Seattle? You mean that kind of shit?
To that, and we're also seeing that.
Okay. Greg Kelly, motherfucker, yeah. Wop, wah. I think we did learn something from that. I think we did, that when maybe we know why Greg Kelly gets so upset when the concept of white supremacy comes up, because probably when he hangs out with groups of white supremacists, even they are like, Greg, you don't make the cut. We don't mean you. We'll take Alex Jones as an example of white supremacy, not you. You're third tier at best. Sorry, buddy. Even in white supremacy, there's a bit of a caste system. You ain't it. You're dirtying up the works, pal. You're driving. 792 likes and 1,300 people in the chat today. Crazy pants. Awesome. I'm so happy, you guys, that the numbers are like getting crazy. Remember when we started this whole thing out? We had like 50 people on Twitch. It's a beautiful thing. So it's nice. I'm glad that not only can I provide you with a place to relieve the anxiety and concern that any of these assholes actually pose a threat to anything or anyone, that Trump and Danny Balls and Greg Kelly and all those folks, just it's a bunch of fapping nonsense. I'm not. You need not be worried at all. And I want you to know that. And I'm glad to be able to do that, and that we can have even trolls show up and they're like, phew. So I appreciate you guys. Thank you so much. Tomorrow's show is at 4 p.m., not 3 p.m., because it's family FaceTime on Thursdays. And I hope you guys can understand that and respect that, because as much as I love you, family first in this business and these folks. And I recommend it for you as well. As we're coming out of this, and by the way, we're done with the Omicron arc. They're saying will be weeks, not months. We're going to be making some really strong progress over the next little bit. I'm very hopeful. I'm betting mid-February the masks really start to come off almost everywhere. Fingers crossed. By latest beginning of March. And especially as the inoculations go up, and I'm excited about that fact. And then you're going to really see this entire economy start humming even more so than it is now. It's a beautiful thing. So until then, take care of yourself, protect yourself, and make sure that we all come out the other side of this and we're all alive and we're all able to continue cagging or magaing or whatever. Making America great again, or whatever the fuck that is. But while we're in this, while I do believe we're going to be out of this sooner than you know it, and we're going to look back on this time and go, remember that crazy shit? Because remember, every party you've ever been to, every swingers party, you crazy kooks, you, every date you've ever been on where there was a wanton slathering of bodily fluids back and forth, every mall you walked through, shopping, all that stuff you did was after the Spanish flu and the White Plague of tuberculosis. We have been through stuff like this before. We didn't keep masks on forever. We just dealt with it at the time. And we're coming out of that time, and we will continue to get better and safer and handle these kind of things. Get used to the idea, but treat it with respect and care. And we will get through this. Plato's Retreat. That's right. The last time you were at Plato's Retreat was after the Spanish flu of 1918. My God, Ring of America. So, yes, bless you guys. Thank you guys for coming in, and I appreciate all the support today. Lynn, thank you for the 666, by the way. I don't know if we do that on the way back down, if I just hung out until the chat started, everybody started leaving, and we get back to the numbers. I took myself off of Ritalin Klonopin only to be hit with 5 going on 6 years of Trump. I'm still hanging in. I'm so proud of you, Foggy. Saw a doctor at MEC's. It would be through this by to late February. I agree. I think that is absolutely reasonable. So I'm prepping for that like a lot of folks. And we are going to be through this, and we're going to look back on this crazy time, get some distance between it and them, and start, invigorating our lives again. And I'm excited for it. And I'm glad to be there with you guys and, transitioning as it happens with you. And also, I'm very proud of the time we've spent together so far and all this stuff. So stay safe, take care of yourselves, and we'll get through this. And I will see you guys tomorrow at our regular time, our irregular time on Thursdays, 4 o'clock. So much love. See you tomorrow. Bye.